Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. We're coming to you from sunny Japan. It's 10 a.m. in the morning. It's quite a beautiful day out, perfect temperature. My dog has decided to curl up on his mother's coat as he usually does. I guess he likes the smell, but that's what he does. Nevertheless, happy to have you all in here with us today. And today on NPR, we're going to be talking about the love between midgets. Hello, Thunder. Are you ready for our conversation today, sir?
I
Hi,
I
everybody.
must be.
Yeah. So first things first, going over here and going to hit that share button. Hopefully, you guys go to
Yeah.
do the same. I was feeling very warm and inter-friendly, like you know how it's supposed to be.
Oh yeah.
But because it's going to be loving and inclusive as they are. Mhm. But how was your weekend, dude?
Wonderful. The wife and I went to Ann Arbor, about 45 minutes away.
Hmm.
Stayed at a nice little bed and breakfast. Beautiful, but beautiful room, beautiful place. Just had a nice night together, basically. Ate some awesome Italian food at an actual Italian restaurant up there.
Oh, nice.
Um, because you see, Chester, I don't know if you know this since you haven't
Hmm.
been here in a while, but there's a
Right.
lot of Italian restaurants in America that aren't really Italian restaurants. They're American
Oh,
Italian restaurants.
yeah.
But you can find ones that are really Italian restaurants with actual Italian food, like a whole lot of things Americans don't normally eat. Let's put it that way. Lots of eggplant, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And
I come from Rhode Island. We were infested by
yeah,
by them. I was going to say something that would have got me kicked off of YouTube, but I won't.
but it was delicious. I had
Oh,
some
yeah.
actual bolognese. It's hard to even get anywhere else anymore. Anyway, so good. And then we yeah just had a nice night. Her birthday's tomorrow, so we went out of
Oh, I
town for
see.
an evening. Yeah.
That's nice. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, no, I pretty much stayed home and I read. I read a lot. I've been reading a lot lately, though. I'm trying to catch up on my reading, and we got it's stupid, but we got the this Omicron thing. Of course, is basically a cold, but it's radically infectious.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, so they're all wife wants to stay home, so like, all right, fine. I got stuff to do. So yeah, I've been reading a lot. Not necessarily useful stuff, but fun stuff, which is rare for me. So that's what I did. I stayed home, and I ate hazelnuts and read books.
Hazelnuts.
I love hazelnuts. It's so hard for me to get. It's a treat. I have to special order them.
You know what? We're both too young to have ever actually had, Chester.
What?
Real American walnuts, because the American walnut tree was basically extinct by the time we were born.
Oh, I see.
The real ones, anyway. The big daddies. And I miss that. I miss the fact it's like I've never had it, but I'm nostalgic for something I never had.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. No, they say when they came to the New World, a squirrel could run from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi and never touch the ground, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it.
So yeah.
No, them dang Chinese got us again.
Oh, did they?
Some idiot, I think it was in New York, brought in something from China that had the Chinese blight in it, and the trees just couldn't. Those particular trees couldn't handle it, and it
Oh
wiped
yeah.
them out.
Yeah, elm trees. We've had a lot of problems with trees in America and foreign infestations. It's true.
Yep.
Just like the Native Americans couldn't take
Yep.
those diseases, the trees got wiped out too. But those Chinese, they're just good at kind of spreading filth, aren't they?
They are. They're
Did I make
trouble.
a racial comment there? I probably didn't. Don't listen to me, YouTube. What do
Chinese
I
isn't a
know?
race. It's fine.
That's true. It's not a race. It's not even proper language. It's nonsense. Do
It
you
is.
know? Speaking of mispronunciation and misuse of native people's names, which is a common thing. I mean, living here in Japan, of course, they don't call themselves Japanese. The Nipponjin. The show.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, that right. Sorry, I even threw some Japanese in there. Of course, the Chinese are the Jungoren, right? They're not
Hmm.
Chinese. That's named after their first emperor. Here's another one. Do you know the Greeks aren't Greek? Ooh, did I just
What are
throw a
they?
wrench? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me use the proper British term, spanner in the works. Uh,
Yes.
Yeah, no, they're not. That's actually a Roman word for them. They are the
Mm,
Hellenes,
that's right.
named after Helen, and it's not even a woman. It's a man, and I mention it
Uh
because I'm leading into something later. Trust me.
oh. Well, let's not get crazy.
Hey, now I have plans, and they exist for minutes
Before
at
we get
least.
to that, I would like to real quick, just real briefly, I'm going to put it in Discord. I was going to do it earlier, but I forgot about it. So it's in the Discord main chat right now.
All right, I
I
know
would
where that
like to
is. I
talk
think.
about Fidel Castro's obvious bastard son,
Uh huh.
Justin Trudeau,
Uh huh.
um, being a complete and utter coward and running from his own people who came to protest in front of him.
Yeah. No. No problem.
Yeah,
Let me just bring that over, and
yeah.
it's easy enough to do. And
This pretty boy, you see, I'm not even Canadian, but this is how Americans are. We will screw with Canada all day long,
oh yeah, oh
but
yeah.
nobody else gets to.
That's
That's
right.
our
That's
little
true.
brother. We're gonna pick on him.
That is right. That is the truth. Yeah.
And Justin, who is clearly a half Cuban man because he's clearly Fidel Castro's illegitimate son, he looks just like him. It's ridiculous that anybody could think otherwise, especially considering his mom used to pal around with Castro back in the day. Uh, is a terrible human being. He's barely even a human being. He's scum. He's filth. And the fact that he's running from his own people, had to flee his country because of security risks, because a bunch of truckers are outside of his place honking their horn. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a real security risk. If they really wanted to get to him, they're driving 20,000 pound vehicles. You don't think they could manage it?
Yeah, that's true. No, I thought his statement the other day was so perfect for Trudeau, little
Yeah.
Justin. He's saying that this is a minuscule minority of people's opinion who have the wrong opinion. He said, like,
Why'd you
oh,
run
okay,
from him, Justin?
yeah,
Why'd you run from him there, buddy? Where are you
yeah.
going? I thought you had COVID. Just a couple days ago, he had COVID. He couldn't. You had to stay in. You had to stay inside. He
Oh,
couldn't make any
screw
public appearances, right?
screw
Or
those
he was
Americans.
around. He was around somebody with COVID, but now all of a sudden he's in America. What happened, Justin? You absolute coward. I wish the Canadian people were not as nice as the stereotype says they are, and they were coming for your head, you tyrant, because that's what you deserve. What you've
Yeah.
done to those people is wrong, and Six Semper Tyrannis, the way
Mm.
goes tyrants. That is exactly what needs to happen to everybody in the West. I don't care about the East so much. The East can handle their own business. But anybody in the West who has been a tyrant deserves what the tyrants get. And it always happens, tyrants. Every single one of you goes down the same way. Eventually, the people have enough. And you're done. Your
He's
power is fleeting, it is imaginary, and it only exists because the people allow it to. Every time.
he's
You
got
either get
pretty
taken
kids
out by
though.
somebody else, you either get taken out by somebody else in your establishment, or the people eventually get to you.
Yeah. He's got a
Happens every
nice
time.
looking family though.
Uh huh. I bet he does.
Well, he does.
Wonder how much he paid for them.
Well, that's possible, I suppose. But yeah, they do actually. These kids do look like they got a bit of Latino in them, don't they? But Mama might be Latino. Is that Mama over there?
I think so, but I'm telling you right now, that boy is definitely not French. That boy is Cuban, half Cuban at least. There's no doubt. People have done pictures, side by side pictures of young Castro and Trudeau.
Hmm.
I mean, he looks more like I look my father. Like there's just no doubt that that's his son.
Yeah. Well,
It
he
would
does
be an
have a great love
unbelievable
for
genetic.
Castro, which is
Oh, of
weird.
course. It would be an unbelievable genetic coincidence for that not to be his kid and to look that much like it.
Terror alarm here, urgent from Canada.
Uh-oh.
Hashtag Trudeau moved to a safe place in the U.S., according to Israeli sources, as
Mm-hmm.
Canada's protests spark security fears. Why are we getting this via Israel?
Yeah. First of all, what? And second of all,
What?
what? Since when does America harbor tyrants? Apparently, that's what we do now. We just come on in. We'll protect you from the people who you've grievously assaulted all their rights for over 2 years, and
Well,
continue to do so. Even though you weren't even actually elected in a popular manner at all in Canada, because their system's even worse than ours as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Like, it's a
Well,
mess. I like our system. I think our system works the way it's supposed to. I'm sure Canada's does too. But the reality of it is, he does not have the mandate of those people.
mhm.
Never did. He had to form a minority government. And the fact that he's acting like he's some king, super popular Caesar that everybody just loves except for the establishment or something is ridiculous. And it's good to see the Canadians. It's shameful to the Americans, but it's good to see the Canadians, our little brother, get up and get in his face. Scare him a little bit, because tyrants should never feel a minute without fear.
Yeah,
Ever.
that's fair.
When you use the power the people give to you and you hurt the people that gave it to you, you deserve what you get. There is no punishment beyond the scope, in my opinion. None.
Just a point of order, Julius Gaius Caesar was actually beloved by the people.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's acting like he's Caesar. He acts like the people love him, and it's not the people that love him. It's all of the people that killed Caesar that love him.
That's true. Yeah. But nah, Justin's been a joke from day one, dude. But then
Yeah.
again, Canada lets itself be the butt of jokes all the time. It's just
True.
kind of what Canada does, man. But there's a lot of jokes. It's very similar to what the whole January 6th nonsense. I
Yeah.
mean, it's silly.
It is.
And Dave said, "Sorry, I was late." Doug Garrett was streaming. How's Doug doing? haven't talked to him
I
in
don't
a
know.
while.
Haven't talked to him in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people we haven't
Hopefully,
spoken to
well.
in a while. Hopefully, they're all doing really well. Hope you guys are
Yeah.
doing well too. Uh,
Except for Justin Trudeau, I hope you get every level of scorn that I can't say on YouTube. I hope you get all of it, because you're scum. You're
yes,
beneath scum. Actually, it's a insult to scum to call you scum. But we don't have a word in the English language lower than scum, so that's where you're at.
yes. I curse you with AIDS upon your warts. That'll get
Yes,
him.
I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. But there's a lot of silly stuff to talk about today, and I had some etymological triggering and struggles this morning. I do apologize.
Uh-oh.
People drive me crazy. They can't bother to do the simplest bit of research. I mean, how hard is it just a little type on your keyboard? My God. Anyway, that's the lead in, so I'm going for it. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to let you read this, and I'm going to do my best to shut up for
Uh-oh.
half a second because I might rant. It's
Oh, boy.
possible.
Here we go. Yes.
So go
Yes,
ahead.
yes, yes. Disney instantly caves to woke criticism of live-action Snow White film from Dinklage. Sorry, I said that wrong. Snow White film from Peter Dinklage. Peter,
Pete doesn't like
buddy.
comments.
He doesn't. He's against them. Buddy, my friend, Peter, we all like you.
Yeah.
I think everybody pretty much likes you, Pete. You're a good actor. You're a great actor, actually. And if you were 5, 6 inches taller, I don't know how short he is, but much taller, you'd be a leading man in Hollywood, no question. No question.
Easy. Yeah.
But you're not. And that sucks, but that's the way the hand fate dealt you. And you've done fantastically with that hand.
I
No
think
question.
so. Yeah.
So why would you besmirch others who have the same situation as you from work? Why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
If they do make a live action Snow White, I would imagine the plan was to use midgets, little people, as they're called nowadays to be politically correct.
Mm-hmm.
Dwarves is what they should be called. To do this job. The 7, do the job of them. And yet, you are out here taking work from your people because it somehow offends you that they're called dwarves. Well, Pete, buddy, that's the correct term.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to hurt your feelings, but I don't. What do you want me to tell you? That's what you are. You're a dwarf. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just is what you are. Just like I'm a brunette. Just what I am. The fact that he would go out of his way and use his platform, as the PC people call it, to literally take work away from his people, from people like him, actors like him, is just disgusting. That's disgusting behavior. It'd be like if they were going to make a all-chick movie, right? Like another Charlie's Angels, and what's her name? What's Drew Barrymore's like, we shouldn't do another woman Charlie's Angels. Let's do men this time. Let's switch it around.
That's perfect.
Well,
yeah. All
why?
gay men. Gay black
yeah,
men.
all gay men. Yeah, all
Yeah.
gay men. Well, okay, but is
RuPaul,
Charlie going to be a woman?
oh no,
No, it's going
RuPaul
to be
is
a
going to
gay
be
guy.
Charlie. That's
Yeah,
guaranteed.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, of course, this is the point you're making, and of course, we have. Oh, goddamn! What is the name? The little dwarf. What's his stage name in WWE? Oh, he's got the coolest name too. This guy right here,
Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle. Yes,
Hornswoggle. Yeah,
Hornswoggle is giving
it is
him
a
a
good name.
piece of his opinion. It is a great name. But here's my first statement, Mr. Dinklage. I do apologize, sir, but um, they're not human, shithead. They're not human. Matter of fact, dwarves is
Yeah.
kind of our modern word we've used, even to the point where Tolkien used it. But the
Mm-hmm.
Dvergar, yeah, in proper accentation too. You take it. Those
Mm-hmm.
are actually probably Black Africans, if you look at the description. What
Yep.
a little people are either the kobolds or the gnomes or stuff like that. But they're
Yes.
fey creatures. They're not real. They're not
I wonder if Peter would
human.
prefer if we call him a gnome. Just
No,
start calling him
let's
gnomes.
put a little fucking hat on him. Uh, because if you look in the movie, they have nomads, right? I mean,
Yes.
I mean, this whole thing is dumb because they're not human. And I haven't heard anybody say this. Hear people say all kind of arguments. What about the other dwarves that need to get work? It's a fairy
Yeah.
tale, yada yada yada. Dude, fuck all you. It's not even human. Fuck you, Peter Dinklage.
I love it. I love it. I love it, Chester. I love the fact that Mr. Dinklage, who again I think is fantastic as an
He is
actor,
fantastic. He's a great actor.
unbelievable.
Yes,
But his stupid brain and his
he's
I
a
don't even think he's
muppet.
actually offended. I don't think he's actually offended at any of this because he's gotten work, made millions of
Tons
dollars
of it
because of this stuff.
because of his
So
little
there's no
person.
way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, there's no way he's actually offended at this. But he has to pretend that he is, you see, because that's how you get clout nowadays. Is feign offense for your specific group.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Martin had not made Tyrion a misshapen dwarf because of family
Yeah.
incest, he wouldn't have had a goddamn work and he wouldn't become famous, which would have been a shame because he is a good actor.
Yes.
So he
Genuinely.
owes his entire career and all the money he got in bank to the fact that he's a dwarf, dude.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And now, like I was saying, and like Hornswoggle's saying, he's literally taking money out of the hands of other people like
He
him
is.
for no reason. He doesn't benefit from this, really. Not, I would assume he's not going to materially benefit from it, just for clout on the internet. That's it. That's it. That's all he's
He
getting out
just
of it.
wants to keep him out. He's an ass. He wants all the money for himself. That's what it
Could
is.
be. Maybe he's afraid one of them's going to come in there. Happy's going to come in there, and Happy's just going to kill it. Everybody's going to love Happy, and they're going to forget about him. Maybe that's what it
probably
is.
true. Yeah. Or he wanted one of the roles and they wouldn't give it to him. You're just too big for this.
You're too
But
famous.
well, Trent has another problem I've noticed. If you notice this with Trent, he's got a thing for Gina.
He does like
He
him some
does. He
Gina.
keeps
Yeah.
throwing her in everything.
Yeah.
This fat ugly lady. So
He's
Trent,
not ugly. She's a little chubby though. She needs to get that under control.
nah, I'm just joking. Actually, you go, girl. I'm happy for her. She seems to be happy, so that's awesome. But when I heard this, this has been boiling for a while. You guys know this. I've kind of let it sit because I knew it was going to get tastier. And of course, I knew the midgets or dwarfs or little fucking people, whatever the hell they want to call themselves, were going to come in and chime in against this shit because he's messing with
Mhm.
their pocketbook, is what he's
Yeah.
doing, right? And I knew they were going to chime in, so I just shut my mouth and waited. But it's the stupidest damn thing I've ever heard because not only did this thing get said in that little interview, but keep in mind, the question coming at him was talking about the race swap in Snow White,
Yes.
which is talking about a Latina girl playing Snow White. Now, Thunder, I'm going to ask you the most difficult question of the frickin' century. Are you ready?
Uh oh.
Why is
Yeah.
she
Let's go.
called Snow White?
I don't know. Maybe they're gonna give her white hair. I don't know because it doesn't make any damn sense. The reason she's
No,
called Snow White is because her skin was white as snow.
White as snow. Yes.
I.
It's in the story.
It's literally a character
Trait.
attribute. You can make arguments for different race swaps and say, well, it's not really a character trait. Okay, fine. I think that's stupid because you'll turn around and then say race matters, blah, blah, blah. But let's say you're right. This one? Snow White? Isn't white? What? What? That would be like if I made a character named Charcoal Black. This is Charcoal Black, and he's called Charcoal Black because he's a really dark-skinned black man.
From
That's
India.
why they call him that. He's Charcoal Black. And then I
You know,
throw in an Asian, just because.
dude, you know the darkest, the most black humans on Earth are actually Southern Indians?
Yes,
They're
I did know.
they're incredibly black, some of them. It's like, wow, that's amazing, dude. But we got some other opinions in here, which is awesome. We got Glacier Mountain Comics. I kind of like it, dude. Shout out Beetlejuice, champion of all the dwarves. Fair, fair. We got Greg Levitre. I guess he has the blood. So sweet. He's mediocre at best. He's just playing himself in every role. I don't agree with that, Greg. I think Peter's actually a fair actor. I've
Yeah, I
seen
think
him
he's
in
okay.
some stuff. He's not bad. Dave says, "Remember the dwarf from Night Court? That was Dan Fielding's boss." Yeah, dude, it was
I do.
hilarious,
Oh,
dude.
Night Court, man.
Night
Oh,
Court.
Night Court was great.
It was beautiful, dude.
Oh,
Yeah. Greg
didn't
says,
what's his name? The guy who played the prosecutor or whatever. Didn't he have like he win like Emmys for like 8 years in a row or something? So he eventually just stopped. He's like, just stop giving me Emmys because he kept winning because of that role. I swear that's the truth. I
the little
swear that it
black
was.
guy.
No. The what's his name? The white guy. My brain doesn't want to remember his name, but he played. I'm fairly certain he was the prosecutor. Like he was always the prosecutor in the court.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Because there was a little black. Now maybe it was a different show. But anyway, I get the point. Let's see what was I saying here. Oh yeah, Greg. This isn't Cloud for Cloud. He's doing what he was scripted to do. That's possible. Hope that they
Yeah.
don't put in a trans or lesbian or queer dwarf. Although no, the whole point of this article, Dave, is that Disney instantly dropped all the dwarves. There are no dwarves in Snow White.
Snow White.
None.
So okay, so we have a non-white Snow White and no dwarves in Snow White.
Yeah.
So it's what are we making here? We're not making Snow White. We can
Yeah.
call it something else.
Well, no, Greg could have a point here because either they were wringing their hands, worried about having dwarves in their live action, and saw a chance with Peter and said, "Oh, thank God," or they were like, "We got to get rid of these dwarves because it's very
Hey,
problematic.
look at
Get a
Grimlock.
Peter on the phone. He's a dwarf." Yeah. So
Grimlock's got me.
yeah,
Grimlock's got me. John Larroquette.
John
That was
Larroquette.
who
Yeah,
it
no,
was.
John Larroquette's freaking a legend, dude.
He won
Uh,
so many Emmys that he eventually just told him, "Listen, just stop. Just stop giving me Emmys. Just don't even put me in the thing." Because he kept winning it every year for that role, and they were like, "Okay," so they stopped giving them to him.
Yeah. No, I
That's
remember hearing
crazy.
that. Yeah, no, it was Night Court was an awesome show, dude. It was
It was.
so loving. That is what you call loving and cheerful. It was
Yep.
great. We don't see a lot of that anymore. Not a
No.
lot of loving cheerfulness. Have you noticed that?
No, we need joy again.
Yeah, a little
Remember
bit of
joy in
joy.
entertainment?
Yeah.
A little joy, a little happiness, a little sparks joy. You know what they couldn't make today? They could not make. They could not make a Forrest Gump movie. They couldn't do it.
What
They
a
don't. They
joyful
wouldn't. They
movie.
understand it. Yeah,
Although,
they wouldn't understand
what
it.
was that horrible monster devil woman in that movie though?
Yeah.
She was horrible, dude. That was just talk about kick him in the balls when he's
Oh,
down, dude. That
yeah,
girl
she was pretty
sucks,
rough.
man.
Yeah.
But all those celebrities are, including Gina, are playing roles on a psyop. Greg says, it could be, dude. For the world we live in, welcome.
Would
Glacier
not
Mountain said,
surprise.
wouldn't be surprised that all these guys, Ray Fisher and such, all have the same publicist. All right,
That'd be
I give you
funny.
5 points for that. 5 points for that, Glacier. All right, Joshua says, and I heard Walt Disney didn't want them to even remake Snow White. No, why? I don't know why they're remaking any of these classics. What's the point?
I,
None of them are
I don't get
hitting.
it either.
They're not hitting.
They flop pretty much every time. They're terrible.
I think
Like
the
that. The
Cinderella one
only
was successful. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that had a pretty big cast. The only one that to me is an abomination and that actually upsets me is Aladdin, because for two
Uh,
reasons. One, that's the only Disney movie I actually like because it's a great movie, the animated one. And two, Robin Williams is dead, and there is only one genie. Period. No one else can play that role, as we
yeah.
saw, and
Yeah.
no one else should even try. it's just his. Just let it be his. But Disney can't
Yeah,
let sleeping
Disney's
dogs lie.
Disney. Yeah, I mean they could have just told a different Aladdin story, but they're trying to do this live.
Yes.
It's dumb. It's lazy. Go
Yes.
make some more original content, please. But I know I like Will. He's a cuck. I mean, he turned
Yeah.
out to be quite a disappointment as a man. But I like Will in general. But ma, dude, you should have known better, man. You
Yeah.
should have known
They
better.
she somebody should have pulled him aside like this is a bad plan. You're gonna do
Dude.
great in it, but it's a bad plan.
Yeah. Well, Greg,
uh,
they've been engineering children for since TV became a thing, dude. Um, Hail Raven, and that's right, Glacier. Anyway, fuck you, Peter Dinklage. That's what I got to say. Fucking idiot,
Petey. Old Petey Pooh.
idiot. And you know, you could have won actual good points, Peter, by saying something non woke. Yeah, because that's the trend, buddy. Yeah, but you weren't paying attention, were you, Peter? No, no. You know who gets all
Could
the
have done
credit?
well.
You know who gets the love, Peter? You know who gets the love? It's frickin' Hornswoggle. That's who gets the love.
If a dwarf
Hornswoggle gets it.
just
All of it.
dreams of being an actor, and in a Disney film,
You tell him,
this role is
Hornswoggle.
made for them. So now you're taking these roles
Yep,
of not just one, but 7 little people away
yep,
because you feel like we have to make progression. It's so stupid. It's just
yep.
dumb.
Very
You're actually doing worse for the community.
There's a
than
giant
better.
walking
By
above him.
saying
My God, run,
these
Hornswoggle.
cave-dwelling Neanderthal kind of people. No, they lived in a cottage, mind you,
Yes,
surrounded by gems.
yes,
So they were rich,
yes.
and they were
They were
working
Jews,
class
really.
dwarves. This is
That's right.
he didn't do his research.
You get him, Hornswoggle. He's smart, and you wouldn't know it because he's Hornswoggle. But that is awesome, dude. Anyway, I gotta move on. But oh,
I
come
love it.
on, dude. Come on. Come on.
You're better than
Come
that,
on,
Peter.
you
You don't
Peter.
need this stuff. You're better than that.
Jesus. All right. Anyway, let's move on to a lighter stories here. Go ahead.
Elden Ring director explains From Software's notorious difficulty levels. We don't make games hard for the sake of it. We want players to enjoy overcoming challenges.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think there's two sides to this argument, and then there's three sides, but the third side's so stupid it's not even worth talking about. Where people try to pretend like they should make games that everybody can play. No, they shouldn't. They should
No, they
make the
shouldn't.
games that their audience demands them to make.
That's right.
They should follow their market and stay where their market is. If the people that buy their games like the challenge, that's what they should make. And that's what they do make. And people clearly like them because
Yep.
they've been around for how long now making these hard ass games and selling a lot of them. Now, the other side of that argument is taking away the stupid accessibility nonsense. Does a difficulty level setting actually hurt anything? I don't think so. But if
No,
they don't want to make it, then fine.
but
Because if they have to do that, if they have to put in a scaler, that's time they have to put into development to scale it. How does it
right.
scale? How do we
Well,
make it scale? If our games are very responsive based, very Twitch based, very you have to do this at the exact moment or you're dead, which a lot of their boss fights are. How do you scale that? Do you
yeah.
make it so it just doesn't kill you? Well, then it defeats the purpose of the mechanic if it just
Well,
doesn't kill you when it hits you. So
they did put it out in the new game Elden Ring, and that's multiplayer. So if you have
yeah.
better players with you, you can survive more easily. But no, I've been playing this series since Demon Souls,
Mm-hmm.
literally, and that was ridiculously difficult. Dark Souls is
Yeah.
much easier than Demon Souls, by the way.
Yes.
But the thing with it is that's their thing. You know,
Yes.
it's a fighter game. It doesn't have much story, really. I mean, it's just it's to the perfect fighting game with a little bit of RPG element and some dark backstory, and that's all it is. And that's for those people who like that kind of stuff, man. It's supposed to be challenging. That's the whole point. But to just respond to your statement. But here is the thing that I find fascinating about this because this I put this up here because this argument has been going on for years now. The journalist, the so-called gaming journalist, have been
Ah, they're so
bitching about.
bad.
It's so bad, dude. They've been bitching about difficulty of games for years and years and years and years. And the thing is, isn't that embarrassing? Aren't you
Yeah,
supposed
it
to
should
be a
be.
gamer?
Yeah. That should be very embarrassing to you. I remember when the Doom remake 2016 Doom came out, and the very first time you get control of Doom Guy, I'm not calling him Slayer, that's nonsense. He's Doom Guy.
He
The
is Doom
very
guy.
first time you get control of Doom Guy, and this journalist is reviewing it and just missing every single shot. Just missing. I'm like, what? You got a mouse? How are you that bad? Just point at him and press the button. But anyway, it took him. I think he said in the review, I believe it was IGN's review or one of those. It took him way too long to get through this opening spot. They were doing like a live gameplay thing of it, and people just lambasted him for it because it was so ridiculous.
Oh, the
They couldn't even do
Spoonhead
the
one.
it might have been the very beginning level of the Doom of that Doom game. Um, yes, I agree with you. If you're a supposed journalist in video games, you should have at least decent gaming skills.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? How are they this bad at video games? They're not that complicated. Especially people who spend their whole day, their literal career, commenting on them. They should have basic comprehension in the field. I don't know. It
Yeah.
seems ridiculous to me. Now, for those people, the people who complain that these games are hard, I beg them to never in their life play Ninja Gaiden on the original
Oh, I
Xbox
love Ninja Gaiden, dude. I mean,
because they will literally kill themselves. It's
but
so hard.
the thing is, games have been tit easy for decades now.
Yep.
When I was a kid, games would punish your ass, dude.
Oh yeah.
Right? And
Yeah,
that was
I broke
fun.
5 NESs for a reason.
Ninja Gaiden was awesome though, man.
You
Because
son of a bitch threw it.
you had to remember. You have to remember exactly when to move, where to bounce. It was a challenge, and it was a lot of fun when you completed it. It actually meant something when you finished the game, right? It
Yeah.
actually had meaning.
I
But
still can't believe because I've gone back and tried to play some of the old games. I can't believe I ever beat any of them. They're so hard. If you play like old like NES or Super NES games, so many of them are just brutally hard and
yeah,
unforgiving. You don't get, there's you have your few chances and that's it. You're done. You start over, or if you're lucky, if it has a save mechanic or some form of skip mechanic, like the old Contra games or whatever. But some of those games were just dirty. They were so hard.
yeah.
And I just don't understand how you become a games journalist, many of them in their 30s, like me, and you're bitching that modern games are too difficult. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, dude.
There is no modern game that difficult. Trust me
And
on this. Maybe some of the extremely rare, like weird Korean and Japanese bullet hell games. Other than that, nothing is that difficult that you can't get it if you play it
no,
long enough. No.
no, and it's the funny thing with it is like with FPS is because you can measure your skill in an FPS because it'll show you your where you sit, and I sit squarely in the 60th percentile, so I'm just slightly over average, just slightly, right? Nowhere near good enough to do anything with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
My son kicks my ass, right? Because he sits up in the 80th, 90th percentile, right?
Ah,
Uh,
the
well,
nimbleness of youth.
that's right, and he's half Asian, so he's cheating.
Oh
Uh,
God,
but uh,
yeah,
but if I can do it, how can you not? Is my point.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, there is I think she's in her 80s. There's a grandmother. Her
Oh
name's
yeah.
Shirley,
Yes,
who plays
Shirley.
Skyrim. She loves Skyrim. She
Yeah.
plays Skyrim all the time,
Yep.
and she has her own YouTube channel. It's
Yep.
that's what she does. If Shirley can play Skyrim, you in your 30s can figure out Dark Souls or Demon Souls. I promise you. You
Yeah.
put just a little bit of effort into it, you'll get it. We don't need to dumb it down just because you can't play. And for people who physically are incapable of playing certain games, especially ones with high skill ceilings, sorry, we cannot make the whole world around the handicapped. That's just ridiculous.
No, we
I mean, it
can't.
sucks. It's
Yeah,
not
we
fair to
try,
them,
but
but
we
it's
just
just
yeah.
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter anyway. With these journals, say no one cares. Elden Ring is the most anticipated game, upcoming game of this year for sure. It's going to
Yeah.
make a lot of money. People are really excited about it. Now, me personally, I'm not a big fan of the Dark Souls series. Really, I prefer
Hmm.
more role playing than fighting. That's my shtick. But
Hmm.
more the more the merrier. If you love it, awesome. But this game's going to be absolute mega hit, and it should be. Good for them. And they even went out and got old Martin to do their writing for him. Isn't that cool?
That is pretty cool,
It
actually.
is cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be nice if he'd write his books, but
Oh no, he's bored with that, dude. That ain't happening. That's done. That's done. Especially after the
uh,
debacle. Why would he finish it now? I'm sure he's
I
just
think I
sad.
think the reason he isn't going to finish it now, I think the main reason is because that last season was such a travesty.
Oh, it
I
was
think he's
bad.
just
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't even think he wants to. I think he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Like you guys screwed it up too much. I'm good.
Yeah, I agree with that, Greg. The Sonic games were challenging, but they weren't that hard. Yeah, they actually have a channel over here in here in Japan, a TV channel that will talk about video games and manga and anime. It's just a kind of a pop culture show, and they'll have like a special every now and then. Where they got one of their cast, he'll take one of the old console machines and the old games, and he'll put them in, and he'll play it until he completes it, and
Nice.
the amount of junk food, pop, and screams and yelling that goes on with that guy is absolutely hilarious because he's actually a really good player, but he is emotional. It's
I will
funny.
have to say, who was it? Somebody over here mentioned Battletoads, Glacier Mountain Comics, Battletoads. I beat Battletoads.
Yeah, the beat it.
I
Battletoads is
actually
fun, dude.
beat that sucker back in the day when I was a kid. I couldn't do it now, I'm sure. I'm sure I never probably wouldn't be able to beat the first level now. But that game, you want to talk about a hard game? Holy crap. I still remember it.
Oh,
And this was
Castlevania.
30
Yeah,
years ago almost, 20, 25 years ago.
yeah. Yeah. I agree, Amaran. Yeah, yeah. But I like City Skylines too, dude. I like that kind of math. But the game that used to kick my ass, and I know you're gonna laugh, but I don't know
Yeah.
why I had so much. It's weird the games you have trouble with. Mine was
Yep.
Frogger, dude.
Frogger?
Frogger kicked my ass. I don't know why. I sucked at Frogger. I did. I sucked so bad. I could play Tempest all day and just crack the machine and put my name. I had so many machines that had CCB at the top ranking with
Mm-hmm.
Tempest. I love that game. But Frogger just I don't know why I don't know what it is. I suck at Frogger. Yeah.
Frogger wasn't for you. Timing.
Oh,
Timing is not Chester's
it
strong
is my
suit.
thing though. It is actually my thing. I'm a rhythmic human. I don't
Not with your
understand it.
hands.
Not for Frogger, I guess. I don't know. Maybe those damn insulting bees were pissing me off. I don't know. But
Is Glacier Mountain Comics in the Discord?
I don't know. You can drop a
He's
Discord
trying to.
link
I
and let
think
him
he's
come in.
here. Glacier, join the. If you have Discord, join our. Hang on one second. Why is it being dumb? Join our Discord. There we go.
Yeah, come in and have a chat. Now here it is, the Cuphead thing. Yeah, not Spoonhead. Sorry, Cuphead. I was being stupid.
And then
But this is shameful, dude.
we can post the links for you to your whatever you guys are talking about over there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But yeah, these journalists are idiots. They're not actual journalists. They're there to for political means. It's silly, dude.
Yeah.
It's silly.
One of the best parts about GamerGate, when GamerGate was a real thing, 5-6 years ago now, was the delegitimizing of the journalists in the gaming field. No one takes them seriously anymore. There was a time when people did, when IGN and GameSpot and all those places were actually, taken relatively seriously. People would actually go to them for news and things like that, and actually, put credibility in their names or on their names. And I just don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think anybody in the industry really listens to them anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh, because I know I sure don't, and I can't. I know a lot of gamers, and I haven't met a single one who's like, well, IGN said, and that's where their opinion comes from, because they just completely destroyed their credibility over the years with stupid nonsense like this non-argument about how Dark Souls and the Souls games and From Software's games they're just too hard. Well, then don't play it. Every actual game will respect. Well, then don't play it.
Yeah, that's true. And
Done.
and do never forget, please never forget. Gamergate started because gamers were complaining about people getting favorable reviews for sexual favors. That's how it started. Don't you listen to these assholes. That's what it started out over.
Exactly what
Right?
happened. One of the ladies was using her God-given talents
Zoe
to get
Quinn.
what she needed. Yes. And hey, listen. As long as you're upfront with it, okay.
Well, she
But
wasn't
the
though.
fact
They weren't.
that she
Yeah.
I
wasn't
would call
is
that God-given coincidence. Does anybody believe she can fuck worth a damn?
Dude, she might give one hell of a pipe smoke, dude. For all you know.
maybe she does. Maybe she.
Dude, you've seen that face, right?
Well,
Yes,
she's got to compensate
I
somehow.
have seen
There's
it.
got to be something she's good at. There's just
Yeah,
by
yeah.
statistically there has to be
I
something.
don't know why James Woods quote pole smoking fashion victim is coming to my mind. Why won't get out? Hey,
I
what's up,
mean,
Grimlock?
I'm doing fine. Look, I think we know what the deal is with these so-called gaming journalists. I mean, at this point, the Iron Sheik is a more credible gaming reviewer than these fuckers are.
She's awesome, dude. Have you seen those videos?
I would actually pay money to watch Shiki play video games.
There is.
Let's get
He has,
Shiki.
dude.
Let's get Shiki on Demon Souls for like 2 hours. I would pay to see that.
It's
Um,
awesome, dude.
but no, these people are just like a lot of the people in the comic industry. It's kind of funny how these things are going hand in hand. It's people who don't want to be there. They're using this spot as resume filler, or they're
Yeah.
using this spot or as a springboard, thinking they're going to get to the spot that they really want, and 99% of them ain't.
No, of
99%
course
of
not.
them ain't.
Yeah. That's Sharkfield Waters,
Because
dude. Hey, Joe.
and you could tell how full of shit these guys are, because like if you remember back then, like in the Game Pro EGM days, if you read them enough, you knew certain reviewers by the kind of games that they played. It's like, oh, that's great. He's the platforming guy. Oh, look, he's reviewing Crash Bandicoot. So you got a guy there who knows what the fuck he's talking about, because that's his area of expertise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
and it could just simply be simping too. I mean, this was
Yeah,
a
well,
game journal guy that was involved in the original Gamergate stuff, and maybe he just didn't get a lot of chicks, and any pussy was good pussy from his point of view. You know.
again, you legalize prostitution, you cut out a lot of this shit.
Yeah, that's true. That
You
is
cut
true.
down a lot of this shit. You
Yeah,
Look at there. I make game
90%
humble.
of your scandals in this country would be gone if you just legalized it.
it's fair. That is fair.
I make
But
game humble. I like it. I love cheeky. I love cheeky baby. I break you back, make you humble.
yeah, yeah,
Hey,
man.
hey, look, I'll put it this way. All the people who complained about the legalization of marijuana, the gay pride parade has done more damage to this country than the legalization of weed.
That's fair.
Just legalize prostitution. It's the oldest profession. I will never understand how giving somebody a much needed orgasm is a crime.
I agree. Then you could also, if you legalize it, you can regulate it a bit. We could
Yeah,
have
which is all
actually
the
bring
U.S.
back,
government gives a shit about.
Medical
bring back
cards.
brothels. Make
Take
sure
it.
that they're clean. Make them be
Hey.
tested every month or whatever, and be a lot better situation, I think, for everybody
Yes.
involved.
Just,
Yeah,
just,
possibly.
just,
Yeah.
just tax it. Put a pussy hair tax on it if you want to.
That's true. Well, no,
You
I
know,
get places like
your bush is a 2 centimeters over code. That's a $25 fine. That's
that's
all they
right.
give a
Yeah.
fuck about.
Well, in the Netherlands and in Thailand, they do have. Well, Thailand's a little bit more, but anyway, they have big air quotes legal prostitution, right? But they require those girls to have a license, and they have to get very frequent, sexual disease STD tests.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we live in a country where you got to have a license to give a person a fucking cup of water on the side of the fucking street. So I mean,
But not
go
for
for it.
voting, though.
Yeah, not
That's
for voting.
racism.
No, none for voting. That's somehow racist.
Giving somebody a bottle of fucking cold water requires more proof of ID than fucking voting in this country.
Chester, I want you to understand.
Yeah.
You see, the liberals are right. Only white people know how to get IDs. They're the only ones. Everybody
Yeah, I
else
know.
is just too stupid. They
I
can't
know
figure it
that's
out. you
true.
see.
We whites are real
yeah.
smart. Yeah.
We're real smart.
Real
Super smart.
Yeah. Oh
So dumb.
shit, dude. But anyway, let's move on to the next story. But come on, man, come on, you panty wastes. Am I allowed to say that in the 21st century?
I mean, you did, so I guess so.
Fuck it. Yeah. All right. There we go. This is all for you.
The Batman spin-offs and sequels depend on success of the movie, says director Matt Reeves. Well, of course they do. That's kind of a...
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I need a second here. Hold on a second. No
Uh-oh.
fucking goddamn. All right, go ahead.
I was saying that in a much nicer way, but yeah, obviously, that seems like some publicist press release nonsense that he said. Basically, well, yeah, of course they do. Well, yeah, obviously. I still think they put out recently they put out a scene like a whole 2 minutes from the movie, and I loved every second of it. Yeah, Batman doesn't say a word,
Yeah.
right? He never says a word, but you know everything he's thinking and everything he's going through in the few moments that he's in. And the whole time it's from basically his perspective, except for like one or two shots. And I loved every bit of it. From what I am hearing, it is called The Batman, and he is pretty much the entire centerpiece. Not just the centerpiece, but he's in most of the movie.
Yeah.
Batman is.
Yeah.
It's about him, it's from his perspective, and I don't hate that necessarily.
I had different opinions. Although the guy playing the Penguin, freaking awesome.
Yeah, I like him. I
Yeah,
like
it's
it.
awesome.
It's Colin Farrell.
No, he seems like little moody goth boy to me, dude.
Well, we'll see. Well, he's Batman. Of course he does. We'll see. Because
Yeah,
here's the
no,
problem
no.
that our boy had, that Bale had. Bale was really, really good as Batman. At least I thought so. I liked him as Batman. His Bruce Wayne was kind of shitty. He just wasn't great as Bruce Wayne, in my opinion, because he never quite got the brooding of Bruce. Plus, the ridiculous Batman voice was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was.
But he never quite got the brooding nature of Bruce. And I think our little emo boy here is going to get that right. I think
Yep.
he's going to make us feel like Bruce is an incredibly depressed man, because he is an incredibly depressed, traumatized man who uses his crime fighting
right.
as his therapy.
Let me help you out here. I'm going to help you out. Okay, I'm going to help you out because here's the thing. Batman never gets angry, ever. Batman is always in control. He always knows everything. He researches every single solid thing he does 10 times over. That's his superpower. That's what
Yeah.
makes him Batman. Christian Bale's
Autism.
Batman sucked because he was always angry. Pattinson's Batman looks like it's going to suck because he's always angry and he's out of control. That's not Batman, dude.
But is he out of control?
Well, we'll have to see if they play
That could be
well.
part of his. Right, that could be part of his shtick to make people think he's out of control, so that he's unleashing. They're afraid of him because they even kind of played that up in the last trilogy, right? Everybody knows you have rules, so nobody was afraid of him anymore. So if Reeves knows that and he's like, okay, well, this Batman needs to be more brutal, not because he wants to be, but because he has to be. He needs people to believe he's capable of great violence, which he is, obviously, but they need to feel that. They need to feel that fear. I don't know, man. Everything I've seen about this film, except for the fact that who they cast as it, even though that when they cast it, I said it can work if, we'll see if comes to pass. I just think it's going to be really good. I actually think this movie might be as good as The Joker. I honestly think that.
I hope
it's a little bit long, though. That's the thing that I think will kill it. Is it's like 3 hours long.
Oh Jesus,
that's long.
But they did try to pull it off with Christian Bale Batman. I get you're saying they did try to.
Yep.
He's acting angry, not really angry. They did try. They just didn't pull it off. This could be a great movie. It could be, but I'm just getting weird vibes off it personally. But I'm gonna watch it, obviously.
Well, I am too.
Yeah,
I am too.
Yeah.
My wife loves Batman. Batman's her favorite superhero, mainly because she thinks he's sexy. Which, okay, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The bad boy.
He is.
Yeah.
You're right. He is. And she doesn't want to see this because she doesn't think Pattinson's attractive. She's like, he's too girly.
Yeah, he's not a very pretty boy now. That's true. But the funny thing is, my kids, their favorite character from I gave them Western comics, right? I bought them Western comics. I introduced them to everything Western comics, and they do enjoy all the Marvel movies and stuff. You know who their favorite damn character is? Can you guess?
Batman.
Joker.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
That's also an acceptable answer.
All right, fine. Grimlock, you got an opinion on this?
Nope.
No.
Not really, because I've told Thundar before, I have to admit there's been times where the SJWs have won, and movies like this is where the SJWs have won because There was a time where if you'd have said Batman anything, I would be hyped to see this. But
Yeah.
I'm I'm going into this with cautious optimism at best. Like I'm be honest, I'm not really looking forward to this movie. Like
Yeah, I'm not either, dude. But
I'm,
I'm
I'm
hoping I'm wrong, though. I'm hoping I'm
I,
wrong.
I've seen the trailers. They're okay. Like they're you like you get a sense of cohesion from them, but
Mhm.
like there's nothing there that really like you know that moment where where something raises your eyebrow, like oh okay, that's interesting. The only trailer that I've seen in the last year and a half that's done that to me was surprisingly the second trailer for Morbius,
Yep.
because I thought they was going to completely fuck that up to begin with, and then when I saw the second trailer, I'm like, wait, they're
Hold
they're,
up.
they're getting him right. A faithful
Oh God,
origin.
I know, dude. I'm so excited about Morbius. It's weird. I'm excited about Morbius, maybe a little bit Moon Knight, but not this one. What is that? Why is that?
I don't know, but I will remind you, Chester, you weren't excited about Joker either, and I
That
was,
movie is spectacular, though.
and that was
Yeah, it
spectacular.
was. Yeah.
And the reason why I
May,
thought it was going to be great wasn't just Joaquin, which obviously he's Joaquin Phoenix. He might be the best living actor, but was because everything I saw from it, cinematography wise, was perfect. It was spot on. Like it was just the angles it was shot in, the tone of the lighting, the music. Same with this movie. I get like they released the theme song for this movie already, right? And a lot of people don't like it, but I think they're missing the point of this song. You're not really supposed to like it. That song is supposed to encapsulate the Batman, his entire life you can hear in the song. And that is brilliant. That no Batman movie's ever done that. Not like this. The
Oh,
entire life of Bruce Wayne you can hear in the way the song climaxes and goes down and up and down. Every single note has a purpose. Obviously, it's written by a composer, but you know what I mean. Like when it comes narratively, if this movie is as good narratively as that song is, it's going to be a masterpiece. In all honesty,
yeah, no. I hope it's good, dude. I mean, we complain about stuff over here, but we want things to be good. We want to enjoy it. Joker was a great, fresh treat. And I hadn't even. I'm sitting here looking right at it. I'm an idiot. God damn it. That's Colin Farrell, dude.
that is Colin Farrell. Yeah, I said
Shit.
so. This is what I'm saying. This
and
is what I'm
I'm gonna be
saying.
honest, he looks more like Tony Soprano in that picture
Yep.
It's
than I thought is
perfect,
humanly
dude.
possible. Like
Grimlock, if
he,
you watch the trailer, it's perfect, man. He's perfect. He's
Perfect. Yep.
what Penguin should be. It's
Yep.
perfect. Yeah.
I'm. T-
Uh,
I just
Greg
have
is
I have
not
one of them
happy.
feelings.
I gotta help. Hold on a
One of
second.
them
I gotta
feelings.
help out Greg. I gotta help out Greg. Hold on a second. Greg needs some help. I'm gonna help you out, Greg. There's no one living today, no human that is alive today that has not grown up underneath a psyop, Greg. This is nothing new. This has been going on for a very long time. Controlling what you eat, controlling what you want, controlling what you do, where you go. This is not new. This has been 150 years of very steady push of this. Now, and there's been other points in history it's been done as well. Keep in mind, this is not an original idea. So I get you worried about 2030. Yeah, well, sure. But what's new, dude? What's new? Did you
Oh.
actually think that Wheaties were good for you? Did you?
Oh, they're not. No, you can't just eat only wheat. It's not good for you. Wheat's actually Wheat is actually one of the most toxic grains there is. It might be the most toxic.
Perfect.
The fact that we eat so much of it is a problem
Bread is
in
magic,
society.
sir. How dare you?
Bread is magic,
It
but you don't
is.
have to make bread out of wheat.
Oh, that's
yeah,
sacrilege. Grimlock, get him. Dog pilot.
that was another one of those trends that was just another way to get white women to buy a bunch of shit so they can
It's true.
pretend that they're losing weight without actually exercising.
Mhm.
Chester, you've never had a potato bread?
Yeah, sure. I've had all that kind of stuff. It can be
Yeah.
tasty.
See.
Yeah, no, Greg.
Have you had sweet potato fries?
Ooh.
Oh, fuck you and sweet potatoes. God damn it. Uh, Greg says there is no way that Joker would be able to go toe to toe with Batman. He was too frail. Joker has never been able to go toe to toe with Batman. What are you talking about? I
He can't
understand
go to
there's a
toe
few.
to toe with the Penguin.
No, he can't go toe to toe with anybody. He's not a fighter. And there's been a few things like Arkham game series that try to make him a fighter, and there's some things that have tried to do it, but it's dumb. Joker is not a fighter. He's not a physical guy. He's a
No.
mental guy.
Right.
He never ever be able to go toe to toe with the Batman. That's not the point. Yeah, that's not the point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And all of you people who are anti wheat bread, you can kiss my ass. Yeah.
No, I love wheat bread. I eat it all the time, but it is one of the worst grains. I think it might be the worst grain actually for like human consumption. Our bodies
Well,
aren't really designed for it.
Well, here's the thing with wheat. If you're
We
looking
can
for
let the
just
vegans have it.
we'll go. If you're looking for just pure calories, then rice is the
Mm-hmm.
way to go. It's the most efficient calorie food in the world.
That's right.
However, wheat in and of itself, I get your point. Like millet, for instance, will actually make you go blind.
Yep.
But when you take wheat and make it into flour and then put it into, I wasn't joking when I said bread is magic. When you put that into a bread, you're
Mm-hmm.
creating one of the best human foods that's possible. Bread is
Oh,
an
literally.
amazing thing.
Yeah.
If you try to take a look and you do a test, how long can you live eating just rice and water compared to eating bread and water? It's no contest, dude. It's no contest.
Yeah.
You eventually will die. You need other shit.
It is
But
weird to me how many of these so-called health gurus are out there that'll tell you got to stop eating bread. People have been eating bread for like 10,000 years at least. I
Greg
think we'll
says
be all right if we eat some bread.
Joker has
Be all right.
Kill off
always
the
went toe
entire
to toe
nation
with
of
Batman. What
Italy
the
if
fuck
he
are you talking
stopped
about?
eating bread.
Greg, how many comic books have you read, Greg? I've read Batman comic go all the way back, dude. Joker never goes toe to toe with a Batman unless it's some weird Elseworld shit. He doesn't. One of the greatest Batman Joker storylines of all time, the Killing Joke, right? Does he go
Mm.
to toe with him in that? No. He gets his ass kicked and says a funny thing, and Batman laughs, and that's the reason why everyone says it's an amazing book. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't Greg's having Greg needs a timeout, I think.
Greg has triggered Chester. It's a triggered bugbear we've
It
got right
is
now.
triggered. I'm very triggered.
I'm
Anyway,
doing it, Chester. I'm doing it. I said I was going to keep doing it. I'm doing it right here. Everything that's to come that we talk about, everything that's
yeah.
coming out at a future time, I'm going to start rating before it comes out. We're going to see how good my predictive powers are.
Hmm.
This movie's going to be a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I
Calling
hope
it
it
right
is.
now.
I hope it is because when it first came out, remember we were talking about it, and I was at first everyone was like Pattinson are all against Pattinson. Of course, he was being a
Yeah.
prima donna shithead, which I
Yeah.
get. But then I remember I had talked about it. I said, I saw him in The Lighthouse though with William Dafoe, which granted William Dafoe, but I
Poe
was like,
should be
ooh,
Joker.
that dude can act, man. He can actually act.
He can do it.
I mean, it's possible. Greg has a response. Hold on a second. I'm not sure what your argument is about Agenda 2030. I don't have an argument. Are you saying that it doesn't matter because PsyOps has always been around? How long it's been around is a different topic. That's true, Greg. And 2030 does suck major balls, but it's gonna crumble and fail, Greg. It's not
Joe
gonna
Maroni.
work. It's
Look at Joe
already
Maroni
starting to
right here.
get pushed back, dude. I get your point. You're insane. Joker has first fought Batman many times in comic book movies and TV. He seems to have a military background. Yes, he does kind of get in fights with Batman, and he always gets absolutely romped very quickly. Very, very,
Yep.
very quickly. Most of his successes against Batman are causing him mental torment. That's his pleasure. He always gets his ass kicked by Batman and thrown into Arkham, but he wins because he causes torment, pain, and vicious wounds to the psyche of the Bruce. Right?
Of the Bat.
He does. Yeah.
But no, I honestly think the Batman's going to be a really good movie. I think
Mm,
people are sleeping on it because of Pattinson, because they don't like Pattinson. That's fine. I understand why. I don't like him much either. But I do think he is taking this more seriously than we were led to believe. I've seen some differing reports, one saying he didn't want to work out, and then others saying, no, he was working out fine. They just weren't directing him on how they wanted him to work out, so there was confusion. And then another one saying that effectively he just didn't want to take steroids and bulk up because they wanted him to bulk up a little bit. And he said he didn't want to do that because steroids are, not good for your heart.
yeah, not good for you.
Um,
That's fair. That's fair.
so I
Dude,
don't know what's true
Plus
there or
women,
what's
he's
not
still
well,
true.
fucking them.
yeah,
But
go
I
ahead, Greg.
do know wait 1 second, but I do know that Pattinson is a really good actor when he cares about a project, like the one with William Dafoe, which anybody working with him should care because I wouldn't want to make him angry. Uh, and if he does care about this as much as he seems to with all the interviews he's been giving and the things he's been saying, like I've seen some stuff from other people have shown me some of the stuff he's been saying, and it's Batman through and through. Like he gets what he's supposed to be doing here, and that's just encouraging to me. And I think Reeves is a great director, so we'll see. We will see. Go ahead.
Grimlock.
Do we lose?
I'm wondering if, because like you mentioned earlier, like you wasn't all that enthusiastic, and I was wondering if it's kind of like the same thing where one of our complaints about the MCU Spider-Man was that it wasn't Peter Parker. And if you look at
Yep.
Batman for the last few movies, especially the Nolan trilogy, it's not really Batman. It's not the world's greatest detective. It's not the duality between
Yeah.
Batman and Bruce Wayne. We know the name, we know the costume, we know the place, and we know the rogues. It was like basically movies where you could autopilot the damn thing. And
Mhm.
I think starting with The Dark Knight Rises and then those atrocious DC movies, I think a lot of people just like kind of like, where's Batman? You know,
Mhm.
and maybe this movie gets Batman back on the right path. Like I said,
Oh, maybe.
I'm not overly enthusiastic, especially after seeing the Resident Evil version of fucking Riddler. Like, um, I still don't understand the logic behind that look. Um,
Yeah, we just gotta wait and see
I'm
it,
just
dude.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's wait and see.
Yeah, it is wait and
I'm
see.
not gonna.
It's definitely that kind of thing. We could chat about it, but it is wait and see. But to help Thundero, though, Grimlock, to understand
Yeah.
whether old Pattinson is a prima donna or not, just keep in mind he laid his co-host over the hood of the Batmobile, uh, banged her
Yeah.
hard and knocked her up.
Listen, that's the most metal shit I've ever heard.
All right, fair
I'm gonna
enough.
tell you right now, if I'm
Fair
playing
enough.
Batman,
Fair
that's
enough.
happening. If I'm not married, I'm playing Batman, and I got a nice looking co-host. Come on,
Yeah, but isn't
Chester.
she
You as a
married?
young man, Chester.
That's
That's
fair.
his problem. Chester, you as a young man, you're telling me you playing Batman, you ain't banging somebody on the Batmobile
That's fair.
if you get the
That's
chance.
fair.
Exactly.
It's fair. God damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm already pro fucking on the job, and if your job just happens to have the Batmobile there, I mean,
That is
Like,
fair,
bro, that's a
Greg.
once in a
I
lifetime
do agree with the
opportunity.
agenda aspect, Greg. That is true. That is true.
A once in a lifetime opportunity to make magic on the top of a Batmobile, and he took it. I can't hate him for it. And in
Yeah.
fact, when I heard that, people were like, "Oh, that's disgusting." I was like, "How's that disgusting? That's hilarious and awesome." If this was 15 years ago, everybody would be celebrating that fact. But because we've been so propagandized in the psyop that Greg keeps talking about, we've got this weird prudishness about these things now as a whole culture, and I think it's silly. I think that was metal as hell. If that had been done, if Michael Keaton did that in the '80s with Michelle Pfeiffer, everybody would have loved it. Or '90s, whenever that movie was made, everybody would have loved it. But
Yeah.
because it's nowadays, that we're supposed to clutch our pearls, like, oh my god, you've had sex on the Batmobile?
No,
Yeah.
I get your point. It is very metal.
as a
I think
woman,
it's just, I think to my point, it was pointing at a little bit of unprofessionalism.
Well,
Let's
yeah,
see.
but I mean, he's an actor.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's
Greg said, I didn't say that he can whip Batman in a fist fight. I said he can stand toe to toe with him. Well, okay. That's soy.
unprofessional. As many people as fucked on the job in this country.
That's true, yeah. The soy Joker in the movie has no taxes or anything. He just a random thug that a cop bust. Well, to be fair, Greg, that Joker movie isn't really the Joker, is it? I mean, not
yeah.
really. But it just was an interesting performance. It was an interesting take on the Joker, and Hollywood keeps wanting to tell us that they want to they want to do takes on stuff. They want to do their own
Mhm.
take, and the take usually sucks balls. That take, I enjoyed, and many people did enjoy. No, it's not the Joker. It's not.
Mhm.
But it was a fun take on it. To be fair. though Mark Hamill is the eternal Joker as far as I'm concerned, and
Yep.
when Joaquin finally became the Joker, sitting on the talk show at the end, he became very effeminate gay man, right?
Yes.
And I didn't really care for that type of Joker. I wouldn't want Mark Hamill to do that. I get your point. It's not Joker, and Joker has got his shots in on Batman. That's fair enough. But it wasn't really supposed to be the Joker, really.
Well, it wasn't ever even
It was
supposed to
their
be that.
take on it. Yeah.
It wasn't even ever supposed to be even a take on it. It was the studio that kind of shoehorned that in, from what I remember.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay," and he did. They did a great job with it, I think. Um, I I think if there was a Batman in that world, which they obviously set up because of course they would, but I don't think they're ever going to see that. But if there was a Batman in that version of the Joker, it'd be a much different beast. He'd probably be much more of a detective and much less of a superhero.
True.
So
Yeah.
them being able to go toe to toe would probably be far more believable.
We have a Canadian emergency. You got,
Uh-oh.
I sorry to break our standard programming. Captain Canada is reporting, yes, Sandero, if George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell banged on the Batmobile, everyone would have loved it. It's true.
You don't know what went on that set.
It's true.
Listen, they might as well have with the movie they gave us. That would have been more entertaining at least. Gee.
That's fair enough, Greg. We agree. Yeah. Uh, Captain Canada comes through again. Captain Canada.
Oh man, I bet you George Clooney banged somebody on the Batmobile. I bet you he did that shit. He just didn't talk. He didn't get her knocked up, so nobody knows about it. But I bet he did that shit.
Yeah, yeah. Now they are pushing the Elseworlds, Alan. They're also pushing multiverses. Isn't it interesting
Yep.
the parody in Hollywood? It's almost as if they communicate. Hmm.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, let's move along here because I have an etymological bone to
Oh no.
pick. All right, go ahead.
Oh no. Helen Mirren accused of accused of Jew face over portrayal of former Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir.
Well, first of all, she
They
kind of
have
looks like
legitimized
Golda.
Cartman.
Well, no, she
Jew
kind of looks like
face.
Golda. I think they got a picture of Golda in here.
Oh
Right
no.
here. She could pull it off, dude. She could do the character. But here,
I'm
that's
gonna
not
be,
my
I'm gonna
problem.
be honest. I think Ian McKellen would have been a more accurate Golda.
That's probably
Oh my
fair. That is
god,
fair.
Jew face is the best word I've ever seen in
I
my
know,
life.
dude. Blackface. Now it's Jewface. Thank you. Thank you.
Ah!
Well, I I do have to add a correction, if I may, if I may. Uh, Helen Mirren is not her real name. Okay. Her name is Minerov. Her father was an actual Russian royal. Okay.
Yep.
I hate to break it to you, but all the royals of Europe are Israelis.
Yep.
I'm sorry. They're not Jews. Of course, in English we say the word Jew, but anywhere else in the world they say Judah. As you
Mhm.
should, because they're talking about a specific tribe called the tribe of Judah, not the tribe
Yes.
of Dan, which me and Thundera would be part of, or all the others. Do keep in mind that where do these Israelis or these Hebrews or Hyksos, where do they come from? They're Scythians. You know who the Scythians are? Me and Thundera. Yeah.
Why
So
they don't look like anybody else in the region.
yeah. I don't. The Jew face thing is kind of done. I mean, sure, they're not from the tribe of Judah itself, but we're all
Jew
kind of
face.
related. We're all kind of related. Yeah. Grimlock
That's it.
doesn't get to play though. He's out. You get out the party, Grimlock.
No, I want him to play.
He's not. He's not a
I
Jew
want him to
face.
star in the biopic of Benjamin Netanyahu as, as Benjamin, so we can really get some Jew face in here
Yeah, that'd be
because that
awesome.
word never needs to die. I need a whole movie called Jew face immediately. Hollywood, be old Hollywood again. Find Mel Brooks' crusty ass and have him write it. He'll write it. He'll make fun of Jews all day. He don't care. Get him in there. Let him write it, and let's watch Jew Face in all
That'd
its
be
glory. Get
hilarious.
Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds in it because he's just the right amount of sarcastic, and he'll draw the women in because they love him. He is beautiful. I can't hate him.
Hmm.
And let's just make Jew Face a thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that needs to be a movie. That is
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing.
Poor Helen. And this, of course, why I mentioned that
Oh,
Greeks aren't Greeks; they're actually Hellenes or Helens. I'm sorry, I
oh,
couldn't resist it. But anyway, Greg, well, we definitely agree on that. You know how long they've been running psyops out of the Judah or the various Hebrew tribes since
oh.
Egypt. So
Yeah,
yeah, pretty long time, dude. And I'm not allowed to say that there are cancer on the planet because I've been told that this
yeah,
is unacceptable anti-Semitism.
yeah. It's evil,
It's evil.
evil. But Jew face, apparently,
Is
you're allowed to
okay.
say that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
yeah.
say Jew face. That is. Oh, I needed that word to exist. I didn't know it did, but I'm glad that it does because I am going to become an. I always wanted to be an actor, but now my only goal in life is to star in a Hollywood film portraying a Jewish person and not be
Yes,
Jewish.
yes.
That's it.
Well,
That's
you
all I
see,
want.
Thundera, I've used the word before, but it had a different meaning.
Jew face. I
Any
can't with this
opinions on this,
word, though.
Grimlock, at all?
I'm
Oh,
leaving that one alone.
oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever heard.
Um, It happens a lot, Greg. Yeah, you're not the Zionists are absolute assholes. Yeah, I said it. Fuck you, Zion.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, they'll never accuse Chester of Jew face. That's for sure.
No.
Oh,
No. Well, I am specific though. It is the
Jew face
Zionist
broke
and
me.
the Zionist Marxist.
Oh,
That's who I got problems with. Okay. All right. Just make sure it's very clear. Yeah. Anyway, I just couldn't resist that. That was way too funny headline, dude. And who gave us that? Who gave it? Bacali gave it to us, and he knows how to use
Spencer.
things like commas and ellipses and
Yeah,
quotation marks. You go, Bacali. You go talk to that Trent dude.
Trent. A Trent with the English name
Yes.
doesn't know how to write English, but Bacali, however you say that, he's got it down.
Yeah.
Come
You
on,
go,
Trent. What are you
Spencer.
doing?
All right.
Oh,
Well,
Anyway,
that's pretty
moving on.
American of Trent, though.
It is, I guess. I get it. It's that Twitter. People always trying to save their characters, I guess. But anyway,
oh.
moving on here. Now go ahead and read the headline. Yeah.
Disney promises Percy Jackson and the Olympians Disney Plus series will be closely aligned, that's a quote, with Rick Riordan's novel series. Good.
Say, okay,
Good.
on three, say it. Bullshit.
Yeah,
I like the
bullshit.
promise. It's bullshit, though.
Yeah. Well, now I put this up because my kids. I watched the Percy Jackson movies with my kids. This is way after my time. But they weren't the greatest movies, but I thought they were fun little action flicks. The kids seemed to like, and they were quite young. You guys are of this age. I think the Percy Jackson stuff is your age group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So my question, I put this up here because great, thank you for the promise, but it's Disney Plus. I don't believe you. But my question is, do you like the Percy Jackson series, and why?
I have never read the Percy Jackson series, but I had a cousin who did, and he loved it. He hated those movies, but he loved the series because the movies were very far away from what the series is. Well, I think there was only two of them. There might have been three, actually. I don't know, but even the first one he didn't like. So hopefully Disney isn't lying. I know. They are. We all know they are. But I'm going to hope against hope, Chester. Just this
Mhm.
once. I'm not going to be cynical. And it's pretty good. And people who do like Percy Jackson, I like the idea of Percy Jackson. I've always liked that idea of modern fantasy, especially with a little Greek and Roman. In the books, they use Roman gods too. A little Greek and Roman mythology. Why not? They're great mythologies. I don't think they get a lot of love anymore, and that's a shame. At
They
least
are
not
fun.
anything good, right?
Yeah.
Like it's been a while since we've had anything really good come out with that
Well, they are a bit
that
rapey. Let's be fair.
that thing. Well, it's a
But
little bit of rape,
a little
Right away,
bit,
you're a bad
yeah.
guy. One
But
little rape.
here it wasn't the son of Hermes. Wasn't that Shaggy?
What?
The guy that plays Shaggy. He's in 13 Ghosts. He's in Scream, I
It might
think.
have been. I don't
Yeah.
remember, to be honest with you. But no, I guess in the book series, like they have like whole on super big battles with like Hades and the sons of Hades and Death himself, and because a lot of people don't understand that Hades is not Death. He is not even an avatar of Death. He is the king of the dead. There is a difference.
Yeah,
Death
no, no,
is a
he's not a
different
bad
god.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually not even that bad of a guy comparatively to some of the other ones, especially Zeus. Zeus is a straight bastard.
Oh,
Just a
Zeus is an
bastard.
absolute dickhead. Yeah, he's horrible, dude. He's horrible. But Grimlock, did you enjoy the Percy Jackson series?
I've been watching them. It's been that long. I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head.
Oh, okay, okay. I remember them. I remember watching them with the kids, and I thought they were fun little things. I don't think they're the greatest ideas, but they were
No.
little popcorny things, So I don't know how close they are to the books of this dude here, but good on you, man, for having some success as a
Oh,
writer, though.
Rick's got some crazy chick eyes, though. Holy crap. Go back up there.
Yeah, no, he
Rick,
does.
buddy, you
Yeah,
got like,
yeah.
what is happening here?
Old
Those are woman's eyes, and those are dangerous eyes. If
Sandy Cortez.
you see a woman with eyes like that, gentlemen, or women,
Run.
whoever's listening, just avoid that as best you can because it's trouble. Lots of trouble is heading your way, and this gentleman has them. No, from what I understand, it is actually really it's a pretty good series. I don't know if it's a great series, but it's more than more than acceptable, especially for like young adults, teenagers, and stuff. Which is
Well,
who he was writing it for.
I don't know that this is true, but I'm going to go on a limb and make an assumption, which we know I shouldn't do. But there's a series of RPG books, and I know there's only a few who give a shit. But tabletop RPG that are called Scion, and they're based in that whole Onyx Studios setting and stuff like that, Exalted, etc. I happen to absolutely adore the Scion series. I have the new one that came off Kickstarter, by the way, and I would put money on the fact that Scion, the writer creator of Scion, based it on the Percy Jackson books.
Probably.
Yeah, I really do think so. Because the idea, the concept of the bloodlines of the gods existing in modern children, modern times, is interesting. And you can do a take on that, right? There is something
Hmm.
there. Uh, so, let's see. Greg says, we give mythology lots of love in Brain Cage. Our universe is built around mythology, explaining use of ant technology and aliens. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're tank. That's right. Percy Jackson is much better than Harry Potter. Well, okay, fair enough. I've never read it. I don't really know. I have read the Harry Potter to my kids, though. I did read those, and I thought those were fine. Um, for kids' books, I thought they were great. If I was
I
going
think
to choose the best kid books of all time, it would be
oh,
somewhere between Seuss and Tolkien, I guess.
yeah, somewhere in there. I personally would say C.S. Lewis.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's fair. That's fair.
Narnia is fantastic, and it's amazing that those two are like best friends. That's just such a weird. Like, oh, how about the two best writers of that whole century? Okay, you just be best friends. That's what God decided. Just
Yeah.
craziness. But anyway,
You know,
uh, but I think that it's good that Percy Jackson is getting another shot because, like I said, those movies were way off from what I From what I understand, I've never read them, but that's what I was told, and he had no reason to lie to me about it, so I believe him. They were just way off. The adventurousness, even like the tone, wasn't even right, and hopefully this will be more accurate. I'm not holding my breath because it's Disney and they've had an agenda for a very long time. It's just most people hadn't caught on to it till recently. Um, so we'll see. If Disney's weird because there's times where they for some reason don't meddle and it's great. They get decent people in there, good people. They come together, they make something really good with very little or no agenda present at all, and you're like, all right, awesome, more of this, please. And then you go to watch more of that, and it's riddled with agenda. So we'll see if that happens here.
yeah.
I'm like I said, I wouldn't hold my breath for it. I wouldn't recommend anybody give Disney any money. There's certain flags you can fly that are black with skulls and crossbones on them, and probably
Yeah,
get
that's true.
anything of this like that you want
Oh, yeah.
if you really want to watch it. but Disney doesn't deserve to be rewarded just because they made a promise that there's no penalty if they don't keep.
That is true, and and I hope they're fun because I thought they were cute little movies. Greg, yep, dude, all's good, man. Bring it on. You can say anything you want here.
Yeah.
We have open conversations. You can have any opinion you like. I do. This has brought something to my brain, though, guys.
Oh.
I know this is a trident, but someone actually the other day, I had an aneurysm. Grimlock. Someone the other day asked me, "What's a pitchfork?" Now, okay, let's break it down here for a second. We have a fork, and what is a fork used for? It lifts things,
That's
and
right.
the adjective is informing the noun, right? Basic grammar. We learned this in elementary school, didn't we? So
Well,
that makes the adjective itself a noun because it's informing the noun. So, what is pitch?
what is pitch?
What is pitch?
Well, pitch is many things, Chester. Pitch is an
No,
action.
as a noun. It's informing the noun, therefore it is a noun. What is
Yes.
pitch as a noun?
Um. Well, I don't know. What is pitch, Chester?
Oh
Tell me.
shit, tar, dude.
Oh yeah. I didn't know I didn't know if you meant tar or if you meant the because there's a type of like hay that's called pitch too. I didn't know which one you meant. But
Yeah,
yes, pitch is also tar.
but the pitchfork that is used, people you do use that word for pitching hay, but that
Yes.
is of course not really what they called it. It's just what we call it. But I mean, it's a pitchfork. It pitches tar. It lifts
Yep.
tar. It's for tar. It just gave me a freaking enter. Am I overthinking it?
Yes, you are. You are
Yeah.
very much so.
God damn it!
Very much so overthinking it.
It seems self-explanatory to me.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things. See, the English language, while being probably the best language for common trade, it's one of the reasons why it is also really stupid. It's just dumb. Like, there's no point in pretending it isn't. Some of the things that is in the English is just stupid, especially when it's things from other languages that are absolutely unnecessary, like silent letters, but we kept them because we just did. There's no real reason. We just did. So that's one of the examples of its simplicity, right? We named this thing off of what we used it for.
Yeah, yeah.
Simply, no other
Everything's
reason.
like that.
It's just
Yeah,
pitchfork. We use it. It's a fork-shaped thing that we throw pitch with.
that's
Oh,
right. Well,
okay.
we English, all languages like that, actually.
Yeah.
Newport. Okay, makes sense. Like here in where I live, just over the valley, there's a little place called Kitachi, which stands for standing tree. And there's a lot of trees there. Human language is like that. It's quite simplistic. Greg, I would advise you. You might enjoy a little bit of reading. For the past 150, 175 years or so, there's a group of people that a lot of people like to throw under the category of Illuminati, but whether they are or not
Ooh.
doesn't really matter. But the absolute elite of the world, like the Rothschilds, the Darwin family's in amongst that as well. But if you go get yourself a list of all those super powerful bankers and nobles that have a lot of authority, like those type of families, and you go back and you'll see that all of those family members, the males usually, have written books. Go read them.
Mhm.
And you'll see
Yep.
that they have had a plan in place for that long period of time to get us exactly where they are. Not only has everything fallen in place, it has perfectly fallen in place. These people have done nothing but win for the past couple of centuries, dude. So if you're really into psyops and these kind of conspiracy theories, it's way deeper than you think, dude. And you might want to read into those things. It might blow your brain off, and you could possibly die. But
Yep.
there's you know, you got to challenge things sometimes, Sundaro.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting? I find the fact that Sigmund Freud, old Sigmund Freud, his nephew should be far more famous than him,
Hmm.
but he's not. Edward Bernays was Sigmund Freud's nephew. He took Sigmund Freud's work and turned it into what we consider modern propaganda and or what the more nice term marketing. He created pretty much all of the ideas behind it and is considered the father of it. But most people don't know him because he was very good at it.
Yeah,
He made
well,
sure
you know,
that most people don't know him.
most of these famous smart people or famous historical celebrities, not the Hollywood type,
Yep.
historical celebrities, they fall under the category psyop category of poster child, right?
Hmm.
And they've been doing this a very long time. A perfect example, I'll give you a simple little bit of homework lesson, folks. Go read about the life and times of a man called Gandhi
Yeah.
and see if that shapes up to what you've been shown.
Or old Nelson Mandela.
Oh, that
He
guy.
was such
His
a
wife was
saint.
a real monster, dude.
Oh, they
Um,
were such saints, though.
yeah,
I watched the movie. They said they were saints,
yeah,
Jesse.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is going on a long time, Greg, long time. But anyway, back to our psyop world, which we live in, and try to entertain what we can. We have to have some fun somewhere. I hope it's fun. I hope it is. And last but not least, oh, poor.
Oh
I feel bad
boy.
for Grimlock. I'm sorry, Grimlock.
Oh boy.
This. I know it's going to upset you, but it has to be done, my friend.
Here it
We shall
comes.
see.
Thor, Love and Thunder actress Tessa Thompson says film will explore LGBT relationship, describes it as exciting.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Well,
Now,
this one definitely wasn't written by Trent. There's quotation marks in there.
well, it's
Okay,
Uh,
okay, honey, you can speak that bullshit
Austin.
into existence.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Grimlock. If you read this article, not only is
Mhm.
she proud that she's subverting expectations by playing a character that was white and she's not, she herself, a bisexual, is very excited about the prospects. She won't say exactly who, but there's been a lot of ideas that in later stuff like the Marvels and stuff, she's going to be Brie Larson's love interest. Perfect. But here's the thing. Here's the question. This movie is called Thor. Thor. And we know we have Lady Thor with old Natalie Portman in there. How much more do you think they're capable of cucking Mr. Hemsworth? Do you think she's going to bang Natalie Portman in the movie? Do you think?
Well,
probably.
Do you
um,
think?
I gotta be honest. Chris Hemsworth should be very fortunate that nobody's gonna go watch this fucking movie.
Yeah, I know, dude. Yeah, because everything I hear about it, because there's articles pop up every now and then, and we show sometimes we don't. I put this up here because she's so happy and excited. But you know what? I haven't heard anybody talk about at all, in any interview whatsoever about this movie is Thor.
Yeah, nobody's watching this movie.
I mean,
Look,
it's crazy, Grim. Like, not a single interview talks about Thor at all. It's all about Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson. It
well,
has nothing
like
to do with Thor.
Marvel should be worried because, in case they haven't noticed, four out of their last five movies now, or is it three out of their last four? Not didn't do well. And the one movie that did, a big part of it was because another company was in on it.
That's
Yeah.
fair, Alan. Yeah.
So if I was them, I'd be fucking worried. For one, Tessa Thompson, you want to talk about mediocrity and participation ribbons? Fucking Tessa Thompson, come on down. This
Yeah.
for once, you're gonna get a chance to shine because you are a participation fucking trophy if there's ever been a representation of one.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Token
Man
is
jaw.
the word we used back
you
in my
you
day.
you look just good enough to be seen on camera and not be embarrassing. Um, you're not a good actress, but half of Hollywood actresses aren't. Um,
No, it's a sad sight. We're currently in it.
if it wasn't for that, you check off three fucking check boxes on the diversity checklist, nobody would even know your name.
That's fair. Yeah.
Playing a character that in this movie, quite frankly, shouldn't have a whole hell of a lot of screen time because you had Sif in the first movie and you just pushed her ass all the way out the fucking picture.
Yeah, no, what a
So
shame, right? What a shame. And of course, this isn't a love interest of Thor. She's not.
no,
She's an actual villain, an actual villain who somehow was
oh,
put in charge of New Asgard.
she's
I
so
still don't
far
understand
away
that.
from what. Brunilda was supposed to be. It's like, come on, the
Yeah,
fuck out of here.
yeah, I know it's ridiculous, but
And at the same time insulting black people and comic book fans at the same time. Which kudos to you.
well, yeah, no, that's true.
Nobody.
Now, here's the thing though. If someone came to me and said that a Valkyrie, one of the Valkyrie was a lesbian, I don't know that I'd be shocked because they're basically just the northern people's talk about the Scythian female warriors, and the Greeks and the ones in the south call them Amazons, right? They're the same character. They're the same people. It's just the Scythians were weird, or Scythians, however you'd like to pronounce it, were kind of weird, and their women were like part of everything in society, including on the battlefield, because they're so big humans that they actually could compare. A 6 foot, Nordic woman could face a 5 foot, Latin on the battlefield, right? The Valkyrie are they're not actual historically. They're not actually just women. That's not true. But the Valkyrie stories and the Amazon stories are the same ones. So I think we all kind of assume that the Amazons are lesbians in general, don't we? Isn't that kind of
I mean that part.
expected? Yeah.
I mean that part doesn't even bother me. Like,
Yeah. I mean, so it's
I
so big
mean
deal. What who are you going to sleep with? That's what I want to know because I think it's going to be
the
Natalie Portman.
the part is your great value Rihanna, which is one of the reasons you're here. Um, you this Nobody gives a fuck about this movie, and
No.
the more that they talk about this movie, the less people give a fuck. It's There's going to be a certain amount of people that's going to go just because it's an MCU movie, and the diminishing returns are already upon them on that, so they better be careful because Black Widow, Eternals, Shang-Chi were bleh.
But Shang-Chi made a little bit of money though. But it also was a watchable
And
movie. So
here's another thing that they keep overselling. Women don't want to see women diking it up in movies either.
no, of
And
course
I'm
they
just
don't.
gonna say, you know,
If you make them hot, dudes will be down. But that's not allowed anymore. No, women aren't into that at
yeah,
all.
but to be honest, even still, this is a Disney movie. If there was hot lesbians without, you know what men are gonna want to see if you see two hot lesbians, and that's not happening in a Disney movie.
No, yeah, no,
So
that's true. And you're right, Greg. She is a slaver. That's why I say she's a villain. She's an absolute slaver. For we don't even know how long she brought people to their death in that arena. She's a full-on villain, and she did it for money, and she did it happily. She wasn't forced to. She did it of her own free will. She's a slaver, and that is villainous. She's going to peg
yeah,
Thor. You're probably right, Eric. You're right. But I mean, because they really hate Thor, dude. They have to tear him down. Look what they did to him in Endgame. My God, dude.
yeah. Which
Yeah.
again, why you did that, and you're gonna expect people to give a fuck about the next movie? And another thing, Natalie Portman isn't that likable of an actress either, and it's not anything personal about her. It's just that how many movies have you seen with her where everybody goes, "Oh man, she was spectacular"?
She sucks, dude. I haven't seen her in a good movie yet. But
I
there's a
mean,
lot of those mediocre actresses going around right now. I mean, we do have some. There's plenty of mediocre actors as well. But you
no,
tend to have a better chance with the actors because they actually have to kind of earn it, in these days.
but the thing is with mediocre actors, they keep their fucking mouths closed, and I like that for the most
Yeah.
part.
And you're right, Alan. Taiki did do it for the orgies, and let's all give him an applause. Everyone ready? Okay, here we go for Taiki. Yeah, good job, dude. But he is getting him some, that's for sure. But anyway, that's what I got today. This article does go on to talk about the Eternals, on how Kevin Feige was so excited about all the gayness in the Eternals and the breaking, and that's why they moved it up to the front because they really wanted to showcase this diversity and gayness of the Eternals, even though they changed everyone around, even though Eternals already had a bunch of races in it. But whatever, we had to represent. And Ezra Miller snuck in the picture over there. See that? I didn't even notice. You go, Ezra. But yeah, okay. Screw these people. I ain't watching this movie. So moving on and to the end. So Grimlock, how you been, dude? I haven't talked to you in a little bit.
I've been doing all right. Um, Looking forward to IDW's sinking ship.
Oh, that's a dead company right there. My God, they lost all those IPs.
Yeah, I I hope the rumors are true that maybe it goes to Kirkman's company, or maybe it goes to Boom Studios.
I'd say Boom. I'd like to see it go to Boom. That's who I'd
I
like to
would
see
like
it
to
go.
see it go to Boom.
Yeah,
Personally, if that would be my choice, just based on the stuff that I have seen from them, I would like to see it go to Boom.
yeah. Boom's
I
doing a
would
good job
like,
recently.
if they do, I would like them to pretend that anything that happened from Transformers: The Lost Light on didn't happen. Um,
Oh, you mean the lesbian Transformers? Yeah, let's not do that again. How about we don't do that again? Yeah,
yeah, that started in Lost Light.
yeah, but it's for the children, Grimlock.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not for the kids. I mean,
Anyway,
the RC story, I actually made sense if you go back and look at it, because of all the controversy of her mere existence, because Hasbro did not want her, because they wanted it to be, they wanted the Transformers to be genderless, but there was already controversy between some of the creators and some of the fans, because they wanted female Transformers. And then when they introduced RC, it was hilarious because they introduced her in a comic where Prime is displaying her in front of feminists, and the feminists are still pissed off,
that's funny.
calling her a
Well,
token.
well, Transformers was created to sell toys to boys. You see,
Yeah, but
um,
that's why Hasbro wanted them genderless, but always implied that they're boys because they wanted it to be a boys' toy line. That was their stance.
Yeah, and and you could put females in. GI Joe did it just fine. The boys still played with the female characters some. But here's the thing, though. That the real the crux of the conversation, though, Grimlock, is this. And I'll just quote Sana Amanat, the boss over at Marvel Comics. And if you say she's not the boss, you're not paying attention.
Oh yeah, she is.
She said very, very simply, Marvel isn't just for boys anymore. Why not? Why
Well,
can't boys have stuff? I don't
well
understand.
the well here's the funny part. She's saying that as though she broke new ground when she said that. I knew plenty of girls who read Marvel, and they loved Marvel the way it was, until these freaking leeches came in and sucked the life out of it.
Sure, I mean, and some girls play with Transformers too, but in general, it is a
Yeah.
male hobby. It's a male thing, and the point is, what's wrong with that? Why? I mean, girls have hobbies, and boys don't try to take
Well,
away their toys.
the problem is, as you guys have previously stated before, good times create weak men, and you had a lot of weak men who,
Mhm.
when it came time to defend their spaces, and as Eric July and some other people and Razorfist have said lately, you should have gate kept the fuck out of it. And there was a time where I'm like, that's probably unnecessary, but now I'll admit I was wrong. They should have gatekeep the fuck out of it, because the people who came in were never coming in good faith. Because people who come in good faith don't demand that you change things to accommodate them. And with a lot of them, like you've seen with the feminists and the activists, anytime they have come into a space, they come in and they demand immediate change for their accommodation. Shouldn't work that way.
Mhm. Well,
And, instead of saying "fuck you," the way things are fine, and we're the majority here, we should have reminded them that we're the majority here. You're just coming in the door. We said, "Okay, we will. We'll change it for you," and then you kept giving them more and more of your space, until they successfully pushed people out of the space and said, "Well, you can't come in, and if you don't have and if you have a problem with it, go make your own shit."
Mhm. Well, you've convinced me. It's all Charles Nelson Riley's fault. I agree.
I have to say,
Speaking of
since I
weak
didn't
men,
say anything about old MCU Thor,
oh,
they
Here it
killed
comes.
Thor. They murdered my boy. They took him out back. They injected him full of tacos and all sorts of sugary goodness and made him into Fat Thor and completely killed any chance that character ever had of mattering to me ever again.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth is great as Thor, or at least he could have been, but what they did, what they allowed him to do, because a lot of that was his idea, to Thor is irreparable. So the fact that they didn't mention Thor, good, because Thor's gone. They killed Thor in Endgame. He's gone. There's no bringing him back. Thor's ending was cutting off Thanos' head. After that, he went and killed himself. That's my headcanon, because I can't tolerate what came after.
Fair
It was the
enough.
biggest travesty to that character since the creation of that character. And I'm talking the original creation of that character thousands of years ago by some Celtic tribe somewhere. This version of Thor that we're getting is nothing. He's a joke. Fat Thor was Cuck Thor, as I call him. I'm going to run it through it one more time because I think people have forgotten, because Endgame was now 3 years ago, or going to be 3 years ago this summer. He, in his despair, because he didn't go for the head, kills Thanos. Okay, fine. No big deal there. We jump ahead. He has put on a bunch of weight, which shouldn't even, I don't even think, be possible for an Asgardian like him. But, okay, somehow he puts on a bunch of weight. He spends his days playing video games and arguing with people on the internet. He has abandoned all of his duty to his remaining people, which he just spent, before this, 3 movies, not 1, not 2, but 3 movies, doing a character development to become their king, to understand the importance of being a king, of being a leader, of taking action, of taking responsibility. All of that. He did all of that. Took 3 movies, and that's what they were building towards. That was his character arc. Then he has the movie of Infinity War, which is Thor's movie. Let's be honest, it's Thor and Thanos show, by and large. I mean, there's some Tony Stark in there too, but by and large, it's the Thor and Thanos show. He goes on a hero's quest to get a new weapon to try and stop Thanos.
Yeah.
He fails. Okay. The next movie, he kills Thanos with that weapon, then turns himself into a fat ass, and then at the end of that movie, doesn't restore himself back to his normal state, because that would be too Hollywood. That was the excuse they gave. That's too Hollywood. And during this movie, while he's a big fat ass worthless piece of trash who can't do anything good and does nothing good for pretty much all of the film, he needs his mommy for validation. The God of War and Thunder needed his mommy.
Yeah.
That's who Thor is in the MCU now. He's a man who's been around for thousands of years, been through all sorts of things, and he needed his mommy to comfort him. That's what Thor needed. I don't think people get what I'm saying to you. That'd be like if they made a Kratos, they made a God of War movie, and at the end of it his mama shows up and comforts him. Puts her arm, gives him a hug, he starts crying. Would anybody watch that? Would anybody be okay? Would be like, oh, that's so sad. Kratos is sad. No! That's not Kratos. Kratos doesn't cry. He doesn't whine. He doesn't bitch. He doesn't moan. And that's what Thor was doing.
And the final insult?
And then the final insult, they beat the bad guy. He gets both of his... Oh, whoa. Go back one. I forgot about it. You just reminded me. The motherfucker disregards Mjolnir. That is... Thor would never do that ever. In a million years. Ever. It doesn't matter what's happened. It doesn't matter if he's got a new hammer or not. He wouldn't treat Mjolnir like that. He just throws it to Cap. Here, you take the little one. Never. Ever. He would never say that ever. There's no chance of that ever happening. And then the final insult, the ultimate insult, at the end, he just gives away his kingdom for no reason and goes off into space. And abandons his people and his responsibility, yet again, completely destroying his entire character development for 10 years.
Yeah.
And people have the audacity to tell me Endgame's a good movie.
Oh, that
Fuck
movie
you.
sucked balls, dude.
Oh.
And you know, the thing is, Mjolnir itself has its own stories in Norse mythology. Isn't that weird? And Mjolnir represents not only the greatest weapon ever made, but it also represents the irony of Loki's foolishness. because
Mm.
Loki was trying to save his own head, quite literally, in a contest that he had set up because he thought it would be funny to sneak into Thor's bedchamber and cut his Thor's wife's Sith's hair, and Thor basically said, "You're going to fix this, or I'm going to break every bone in your body." That's in the story,
Yeah.
by the way. So he created this contest between dwarven brothers to make items for the gods. So that, and of course, in amongst that, he wants a hair that never stops growing, so he can fix his screw up, right? But one of the dwarven families was like, nah, we know we're the best. We don't need to prove it. And he said, I'm so confident that you're not. I'd bet my own head on it because Loki always puts his foot in his mouth. Right, it's kind of this thing with Loki, and they said, "Fine, we'll take that." And of course, he lost, and then he had to go through a bunch of stuff to to try and of course Odin came in and saved his ass. But
Yep.
but the point being is that Mjolnir, even though he went and he caused a stinging insect to affect the billows worker, that was when they were making Mjolnir, to screw up, and therefore it not to be, the handle to be short and therefore imperfect. But in reality, that mistake turned Mjolnir into the absolute perfect weapon. And that's the
Yes.
whole point of Mjolnir. It's the irony of Loki's foolishness. That's why the hammer is there. It's an allegory, right? And
Yes.
for you to take Thor and then to have him disrespected, as in you take the little one, which I'm sure some idiot thought was funny.
Oh,
Um,
hilarious.
it
Oh
doesn't make sense at all, dude. It's
no.
completely antithetical to the entire mythology.
Yes. And people can make the excuse, well, it's not the same Thor. It's the MCU Thor. It's different. Okay, fine.
Fine.
But regardless, they're presenting him as if he's the same. All of the movies present him as if he's that Thor.
Mhm.
So they should have the respect for that, for the millennias of history that goes into it, and they shouldn't do things that are completely antithetical to the character at
Yeah.
the end of the character's arc. If you
Yeah.
do it at the beginning and say, okay, he's still got character growth to go through, that's different. That's okay. We can tell a story there. This was at the end. There was no story to be told. It was just disrespect. It was a slap in the face
Yeah,
to
no,
that
his story
character.
was failure. That's true.
Yeah, to that heritage, everything about it. His entire story arc was to be nothing but a white fat failure. That's the only reason and because he's a man, it's the only reason it happened. It was agenda all over the place.
Right.
Then you get into somebody mentioned Steve Rogers over here. Regardless of him using Thor's powers, which is also kind of silly, but let's say he could use that. Okay, Steve Rogers would never stop being Captain America.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what situation he finds himself in. It doesn't matter if he wants to be married and have a wife. He wouldn't stop. He can't stop. That's just not who he is.
That's right.
He's the guy who dives on a grenade when he thinks it's going to save other people from dying. He doesn't just shut off because,
That
well,
yeah. That is
I'm
the
in the past.
most insulting part of that movie. Is what they
Oh,
did to Steve Rogers, but Thor as well. And I've always felt it's a bit dangerous to mess with mythological or pseudo historical characters,
yeah,
because you got to keep in mind there are still people who worship the Azir, right? This
uh,
is not a dead religion. It does exist.
correct.
The Scandinavians
Millions.
never really fell to the Christians like other cultures did, and there are literal millions of people who wear Mjolnir around their neck as what it
Yep.
represents, and a true believer of the Aesir understand that all these characters are represent emotional states. It's much deeper than the mythological stories that we have, but I'm not going to get into a dissertation on Nordic religion. But here's an interesting little thing to end it on, though. Um, there is a historical Woden, by the way.
Mm.
Right now, he was an Anatolian chief, and of course, he had 12 kids. Of course, he did. Right, and Thor being one of them. But he actually, because of all they were having a lot of trouble in that area. This is a Scythian story, right? And the Persians kept, and other, various the Phoenicians and things like that of the area, which are all just same descendants of the same group anyway. But nevertheless, they keep banging heads with the Scythians, and they lose. But the Scythians are like, this sucks, man. We'd like to be able to just live in peace. So there was a big, huge migration a long time ago, and one of those migrations was led by a chief. He was like the chief of all chiefs, and he took there was we don't know the exact number, but it said a host, and it seemed like there were lots of them. And he
Mm.
took them and he migrated to the west, stopping in Germany for quite a while, what we call Germany today, and then ending up in the north in what we call Scandinavia. So keep in mind the mythological stories are have a lot to do with emotional states and what it is to be human, and they're very Eastern. If you think you know Buddhism, then you would understand Scandinavian religion because it's basically Buddhism is based on it. But nevertheless, there was an actual dude named Woden who was a real guy, and he had
Yeah,
kids. And I kind of have a feeling, even though they didn't name him, I have a feeling one of them might have been Thor. Maybe,
could be,
yeah.
could be.
So when you're dealing with these kind of things in the comic books and books and stuff in general, I really think you have to be very careful because what if you start writing books about Jesus or heaven forbid Muhammad,
Oh, they tried.
right?
Remember a few years ago Netflix tried to make a gay Jesus show, and they did make it,
Yeah,
and they aired it in, I believe, Brazil, and Muslims in Brazil firebombed their office
yeah,
because
no, that's
Jesus
true.
is not just a Christian holy icon; he's also an Islamic holy icon. They
Yeah,
revere him almost as much as Christians do. They do not besmirch Jesus at all. They just don't believe Jesus is the Son of God. Uh, that's the basic difference. They believe he's the Messiah. They believe he will
they do.
return one day as the Messiah and conquer the world, but they do not believe he is the Son of God. Uh, okay, fine. But my point is they revere the Lord Jesus Christ as the Lord Jesus, as well, not the Lord, but as Jesus Christ, and they
He's a
didn't take
holy
too
prophet.
kindly to it.
Yeah,
Yes, they did not take too kindly to it at all. Um, I think it's dangerous to play with mythologies that aren't actually dead mythologies. I think you can do it. And like I don't mind Marvel Comics Thor usually. I think it does a fair enough job being respectful usually, especially in certain runs, especially the old runs. Uh, but I just think it's these people who pretend and preen and prod and dance around about how they don't want to be offensive, they can't offend X, Y, and Z cultures and this and community and all that nonsense, and then they're out here disrespecting believers of that religion, which is a very valid religion. It's recognized by every Western country, as far as I know, as a legal, valid religion.
sure.
There's even a temple that they just built like 5 years ago, the largest temple in North America, in Canada, to, I believe it was to Thor. Might have been to Odin. To one of them. And yeah, they worship there all the time. So there are people, millions of people, who still practice this religion. I don't
Well,
think
yeah,
it's acceptable
yeah.
to mock it.
It's not like the Egyptian or Greek ones, which no one seriously actually worships those anymore, other
Right.
than the Hindus, which they have different names for them, but it is the same religion.
Yeah.
But they don't get offended when you talk about Zeus or Horus or something like that, because they have different names for it. But no, the Aesir religion of the Aesir is real. And it has a lot of people that follow it, and it's actually a growing one
Yep.
because if you look into it and understand the spirituality behind it, it's not what you think it is. Animism, ancient animism, was all over the world, of course, and we still have it in a very strong force in India. But the worship of the Aesir gods is not really animistic. If you think of Buddhism, and
Mm.
and if you did any study in Buddhism, then you understand that religion because the original concepts are coming out of those Anatolian people, and that the Aesir religion is very very Buddhist in its thinking. They believe in reincarnation. Everything has spiritual representation. Odin is a representation of wisdom, and et cetera, et cetera. They're all emotional states. They're not actual people per se.
Right.
It's about human nature, which of course the Eastern philosophy. Well, we call them Eastern. They're not Eastern, but we call them Eastern philosophies. Of course, are. Do keep in mind that the Buddha fella was an actual Aryan, right?
Yeah.
a part of that migrations I was talking about.
Now, that being said, if you want to play the game where all rules are off and we can just do whatever we want, I'm okay with that game. But everybody has to play by those same rules. If we're not going to have any sacred cows at all, okay, but we have to kill them all. And there's plenty that people don't want to be killed, especially the people who would get offended if you made a Black Hitler movie or something like that, right? If you did something like
It
that,
would be
there'd be so
funny
much.
though.
Oh, it'd be hilarious. There'd be so
Yeah.
much pearl clutching that we might run out of pearls in the
Nelson
world. Is what I'm
Mandela
saying.
plays Adolf Hitler in
But if you
Mein
want to,
Kampf.
take the gloves off and let people make what they want and let people decide what they want to see, that's what I'm for. But since we don't live in that world, then I'll play by your rules. You're not gonna like it though, because I can be just as petty as you, and I'm gonna constantly be poking at your sacred cows. If we're in the game of we get to kill sacred cows, okay, you have some too. Nobody is above it. Everybody who thinks I don't care about any of it. Okay, we just haven't found yours yet. We'll find it. Don't worry. You got one.
No,
Everybody's got one.
I personally agree. I've loved reading Thor as a kid. I have
Yep.
no trouble with it whatsoever. I'm just saying that, we do need to kind of, I think, show a little touch of respect at least.
Yep.
Like for instance, sure, I get a kick at South Park or Family Guy or whatever that'll make jokes about Jesus. I get it, but sometimes they do go a little bit far, right?
Yeah. But
And
even
just
them,
show a little
usually
respect,
though, even though yeah they do play with it and they take it to a place, typically still the characters end up still being kind of what they're supposed to be. They're a different take on it or whatever. Like the Family Guy one example you give, or no, is it American? I'm thinking of American Dad. The American Dad has one where Jesus is a pizza delivery guy, but he's still very much Jesus. He just happens to be a pizza delivery guy.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why that's a terrible thing to do. Like there was the shows in the late 90s like that Touched by an Angel and all those shows which played with, Christian mythos and stuff. And but the characters were still very much, very charitable, very gracious. Things like that. There's a way to do it where you can have fun with it and play with it and not make it full on disrespectful. Like, a gay Jesus. That's obviously designed specifically just to piss off Christians.
It is.
Then what they weren't
They
expecting
do
is it
love
also
that.
pissed off the Muslims. So they weren't expecting that part. And that there's certain things like, I'm not a hardcore Christian. I do believe in Jesus, but I'm not a hardcore Christian. I don't particularly think people should go around besmirching something that billions of people hold as sacred. I don't see what's gained in that personally. Like I just what do you? There's so much more you can play with out there. Why do you specifically have to go after that? And it's the
Well,
only reason I can come up with is they're petty and spiteful.
they
To be
are, and
honest.
it's the same reason why every police detective in any TV show is a female. Every
Yeah.
action hero is a female. It's the same thing. It didn't happen naturally. It happened because it's a part of a political agenda, as Greg was talking about. Thank you, Greg.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, Grimlock, do you have any kind of religious loyalties?
No. Spiritual, not religious.
Fair enough.
I like to think that I didn't make it this far purely on dumb luck.
Hmm. Well, I personally worship at the altar of Nicolas Cage, but that's just me.
Hey, he won't do you wrong.
No,
He won't.
He won't.
He will always be a good time. It might be the
Well,
dumbest movie ever created, but it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
well, I was a big follower of George Carlin when I was younger, so
George is
I
awesome.
prayed
Yeah.
to the altar of Joe Pesci.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Oh, Joe Pesci. Whoo!
I
He made a
just
good
don't
old
think.
zombie movie way back in the day. It was funny.
I think if you're gonna pick, if you're gonna pick a religious icon, when it comes to their personal philosophy that they preach, I think Jesus is the best one, personally. And I think if our society were to become more Christian centered, Christian, whatever the word is that I'm looking for, if that were the case, I don't think that would be a bad thing for anybody involved, because I think it was a weird thing, because Christianity is a foreign religion to the West. It was a weird thing that it took over the way it did. There's very many reasons why it did, but it did do that, especially to the common people. And I think that when it comes to, and this is going to sound degrading, but it's not meant as that. When it comes to normal people, common people, dumb people, Christian ethics are probably the best ones we've ever come up with,
Yeah,
because it
they
just
can
gives
work.
them a
They can.
it
Yeah.
gives them a moral framework they can work in where they don't have to really think about why they're working in it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
some people are just not capable of that. Not nothing against them. They're probably very good working, good-hearted people, but some people just don't have the intelligence or the intellect or the wisdom to have that kind of insight onto why do I do this thing and not this other thing? What is the reason philosophically, spiritually, whatever you want to call it, mentally, physically, that I don't do this? Is it just because someone will come hurt me if I do? Because that seems like a terrible motivation. So there has to be more. And there is, obviously. But I think Christianity has, especially Jesus' own personal moral philosophy, is perfect. And it's not his, really. I mean, it's
no,
Eastern.
it's Mithra. But
Yeah.
I get your point. When I was a kid, I was raised in a Northern Baptist church,
Hmm.
hard-nosed Northern Baptist. And you don't when it comes to Protestants, you don't get or Baptists, you don't get much closer to a Mennonite than that.
Hmm.
But when I got older, well, still a child, I kind of followed all the intellectuals of the time, and you guys can name off a whole bunch of them that were constantly tearing down the Christian church for all or the
Yep.
Catholic Church, particularly for all the horrible things they're doing, and had done, and they weren't wrong. But here's the thing: now that I'm older and hopefully wiser, I've come to understand and even cherish the value of religion.
Hmm.
It adds something. Not everybody needs it, but
No.
the
Correct.
unwashed masses do,
Yes.
and
They need something.
they need
Something.
something. Yeah,
Something. It doesn't even be spiritual necessarily, but it needs to have that kind of discipline
it
that a
does.
religion gives. And I don't think the materialists of the last 150 or so years, after they quote unquote killed God, have been able to find anything that meets that criteria as a guiding moral philosophy for the common person, for the people who don't have the type of thriving inner world where they can figure that stuff out on their own
Hmm.
as to why we don't do X, Y, and Z, why you do X, Y, and Z. Most people can't do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're not bad people. They just don't have the brain power, or even maybe just the time. They're busy, they're working,
Well,
they're raising a family, whatever, to sit down and suss these things out, right?
yeah. Well,
So if you give them a basic moral framework, which Christianity does, and so does Buddhism and other religions, but I think Christianity has been adopted and adapted very well to Western thought. Uh, I think without that, you get a world that feels so
like
hopeless isn't the right
now,
world. Like now. Like
dirty.
everybody, the reality is when you look around, the world's in the best state materially it's probably ever been. People have
Oh
more than
yeah,
they've ever
sure.
had. There's not as much starvation. There's not as much dying young from diseases and things like this. Crimes act well, except for the last couple of years, but until then, crime was actually the lowest it had been in a very long time, at least in the modern world, in the civilized world. So for the most people, the world has actually materially gotten better, but yet people are miserable. Why is that? Well, it's because I think there's a certain aspect to us that isn't just material, that is some form of spiritual, whatever that means, whether it's an
Yeah,
actual
no.
metaphysical force or it's just something in our psyche that interprets it that way. Doesn't really matter because people are despondent.
Yeah,
That's
mind,
we're in an
body,
age of
spirit.
despondency.
All three of
Yeah.
those need to be in balance. No, it's true. And you use the word intelligence. I don't think that's the word. I think the word is comprehension.
There you go. Yeah.
And I also think that if you really want to educate yourself and have no need for religion, you need to do a lot of reading and you
Yes.
need to understand it.
Yes.
Therefore, comprehension. If you don't have time for that in your life, or you're incapable of that, or whatever the reason is, religion is a much easier road to follow. Much
Yes.
easier, because all you have to do is just join with a group of people that puts peer pressure on you, and you have the shame factor, of course, and you have this person standing in front of you once a week, drilling in your head to be good. right?
Be kind.
Right, be
Yeah.
kind, because otherwise there's a lot of work you got to do to get there on your
Yes.
own. You can.
And the great thing about these religions is the work's already pretty much been done for you. If you just go check it out or go find somebody
Yeah,
who's
that's the
already
point.
already
It's
looked
easy.
at it and can tell you, "Hey, just do this and this," and you'll probably be happier, or your life will be less miserable,
Certainly will
most
be.
likely.
Yeah. And you
And
you can see that working in play directly in front of us. I know
yeah,
we're way off topic, but that's okay, Chris. But the thing is, with this, if you look in, say, just take America, right? Because
yeah,
we're Americans in here right now, and if you look at America, who are the people that are actually upset? They're the people who are godless, right?
the godless. Yeah,
The people who have God or at least understand spirituality, they're memeing you, therefore having fun with you.
yeah.
They have pity for you, they pray for you, they feel bad for you, but they don't feel bad for themselves. They're still happy, they're still enjoying their schlocky music and movies, and they're full of joy and happiness and love. They're not the problem, that you are. I mean, if you look at it, it's very, very clear, and it's the people who don't have any balance in their spirituality that are the problem, and so religion is has value. And you have a
Yep.
choice, very simple choice. Either go do the religion in your area and just be part of the social group and gain from it. It's the easiest way to do, or go put the work in to understand it yourself. It's really either way. The problem is we have a lot of people in these days, and we've been complaining about it here for years. They don't do the research for even the simplest things.
Correct. They
They're
don't put
these
in the homework.
people, yeah, they don't. These people are ignorant on such a level
Yes.
that it's a bit shocking. I guarantee you, I could pull the average progressive, just a group of 10 of them, and go back 1,000 years, pretty much anywhere in the world, and they would be dumber than those people.
Oh, absolutely. Probably 100 years. I mean, you don't even have to necessarily go back that far. You go back
Yeah,
because think about
I
it.
just
We
want to
have this
get some time to it.
we have this notion that we're so much a lot. Well, I don't have this notion, but a lot of people nowadays have this notion that we're so much smarter than people in the past. When we know for absolute fact we're not smarter than people from 100 years ago. The average intelligence
No,
quotient has gone down dramatically in 100 years in the
yeah,
West. In all peoples, not all peoples, but most peoples, that's a problem. And people can say, "Well, IQ is meaningless." I don't think it's meaningless.
it's
I don't
part
think it
of
has.
the
It has. Yeah, it's part of
it's
the
part of
equation.
the equation. Yeah,
But it's kind of like saying, well, man, my right arm is just not as strong as it used to be. It'll be fine. I still got my left. No. How about we build the body up in both sides? We don't just make one side stronger. We make sure we're doing things to make every side of us as strong as possible.
it's true.
And
Yeah,
I think there's the one part that was for me very enlightening when I left the church, as it's called, the organized part of religion. And I'm not saying you need to be in an organized religion, but you need to find something that you can follow religiously. Something that gives you moral framework.
yep.
Even people who can do the work should still have something they can lean on for just as a Crypt Notes version, something that's simpler than breaking down every little philosophical point that you can lean on. And I think for me, the easiest thing was when I discovered the principle of reciprocity, because it's so common sense and everybody understands it, but nobody understands it in the terms of philosophy. At least they don't consciously. And I think the West was built on a philosophical foundation of reciprocity, meaning kind of like do unto others as you would have do unto you, but there's a second part to that, which is don't do to people what you don't want done to you. That's the second part that everybody leaves out because that's a different tone. And that's the reciprocity part, meaning our whole society was built on contracts. One thing Chester said on here before is in the East, I don't know about Japan, but pretty much everywhere else in the East, everybody lies to you all the time. In business and everything, it's all nothing but lies.
It is
Constantly.
cutthroat. Yeah,
Yeah. Whereas in the West, yeah, people still do that, but it's illegal in many ways. In many contract forms, you're not allowed to lie at all. That's fraud. You'll get busted. You're supposed to get busted for that. And there's a reason for that. And it's because our civilization is based on a very simple principle of trust, of truth before face, which is what reciprocity is. So I'm giving you a very brief description, but that to me, once I understood reciprocity morally
Hmm.
as a moral imperative, and that is the actual center of Western morals, not empathy, not even logic, it's reciprocity, everything flows from there. And that took me years and years and years and years to get through. But now that I've gotten there, I don't really need a religion necessarily. But I still believe in Jesus as far as like philosophically, and I guess you could say spiritually.
Hmm.
Simply because, like I said, it's my Crib Notes version. It's easier, it's simpler, it takes a lot of the stress off of having to explain to people everything because everybody kind of has a basic similar idea of what it is.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of people, pop culture kind of was that. I know for my generation and probably for Chester's too. Maybe not for Chester's, but the one in between mine and Chester's especially. Um, we had things like Star Wars and to some degree comic book characters and things that touched pretty much all of us, our whole generations, and they kind of filled that void that was left by the centering of religion.
Mm.
Uh, because they did teach, at least they used to teach actual moral stories and moral lessons, especially Star Wars
Sure.
and comic books did, of course, as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why the bastardization, the corruption of those two mediums, especially Star Wars, was just so painful, like genuinely painful for so many
Yeah.
people in my age group, because it was like watching our God be slaughtered,
Well, I mean,
and
sure,
that's hard to do.
it is, and it took Star Wars is a fair point because it took the Dark Father, this horrible evil thing,
Yep,
and even he could be redeemed.
that's right.
And there is very much a Jesus story in Star Wars. The
Hmm.
hero journey, of course, Jesus story is a hero's journey.
Yes,
The moral fiber, conversation of modern entertainment, there isn't any. It is gone. And
it's
that
gone.
is
Yeah.
unfortunate, because there's something to be said of wholesome moral views in your entertainment. Um,
Well,
uh,
that's one of the reasons why I like No Way Home so much, is because it doesn't do it heavy, like old comics used to do it, or even like Star Wars used to do it. But it does at least have a moral compass in that movie, and the other two Spider-Men help Tom find it again, right? Help Tom's Spider-Man find that again, and that's why I think it was so refreshing to me, because Spider-Man is a moral story
oh yeah,
at its heart. That's what it's supposed to
oh yeah,
be.
very.
And the fact that it hasn't been for so long is a problem. And it
Well,
felt good for it to return to what it's supposed to be.
Well, I mean, on this, we do have to wrap this up because I have to go to work. But
Yeah,
just for me, with the Tom Holland Spider-Man, there's a very important moral aspect of the character that I've never heard come out of his mouth. With great
yeah.
responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. And I haven't heard the boy say it yet. And it's like, well, that's the whole heart of Spider-Man, dude.
Watch No Way Home.
Well, it took him how many movies to get there, though?
Six! 6 movies to get there. This boy's been Spider Man. But they finally do get there, and it is fantastic when they finally get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with you. You can't have a Spider-Man movie without his moral center. And
No.
that little phrase, which is brilliant, Stan Lee, that if he's remembered for nothing else, I hope he's remembered for that. Uh, is exactly what Spider-Man is. That's him in one sentence. It's just boom. There you go. He's responsibility.
I
In
I
all of his struggles, all of his life, that's what he is, and
I,
that's so powerful.
I hate to break it to you. He took that out of the Key of Solomon.
Oh well, it's still good.
It is good. It is. Anyway, I gotta go, guys. I gotta get to work. Interesting conversations there. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. We do like having a laugh at all the kind of silly stuff, particularly silly little Peter Dinklage. Come on, come on, Dink.
Petey.
What are you
Quit being
doing?
silly, Petey.
Yeah.
Why
But
does his
anyway,
friends call him Dink?
I hope they do, because I hope he has a big tall friend named Donk. That would be perfect. WWF in the house. Sorry. I do apologize.
Well,
But anyway, Grimlock, what you got to say to the folks before we get out of here?
Not much. The years we're actually 1 month in already.
We are.
It's gone by pretty damn quick.
It has. Yeah.
Um, do not let these fools ruin you, man.
Oh
You
no.
know you know yourself. Stick with yourself.
Be happy.
Yes.
That's true. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. Thundero takes out of here, man. And
Very simple.
I got a
Oh, go
question
ahead.
first, real quick question.
Yep.
Exactly. What is this? What is this boy in your icon? What?
This is William Defoe doing the splits,
Oh, you
and I
kick
think
ass,
it is
William. Okay.
that is the most powerful picture I've ever seen in my life. A man his age being able to do a full split and laying down on his belly at the same time. That's claps. That's impressive
It
at a
is.
man his age. And one other thing about Willem Dafoe, the fact that he has not been the Joker yet is a travesty against God
It
himself.
is.
He is the perfect man. He even has the smile naturally. What are we doing, Hollywood? Make that happen before he dies.
And go see
Anyway,
Odd Thomas. Odd Thomas. He does
yes,
great character in that.
I have one very simple little phrase. It's two sentences here. Brutality is often just another form of beauty. Of beauty? Beauty. Virtue is not exactly gentle. Be virtuous, people.
Namaste. Later, guys.